A modern person awakens in a gloomy green forest, realizing he is no longer human. But the form he has taken is the weakest creature in the world, a mindless, slimy blob of fungus. Yet with his ability to decompose, he starts absorbing everything around him, from branches to carcasses, and each decomposition sends his stats soaring. Before long, he faces off against all kinds of ferocious magical beasts, but every victory pulls him further from his human nature. However, just as he begins to understand this world, another reincarnator appears. He thinks he has found an ally, but the death of that girl changes everything. From that moment, he vows to destroy the church. His journey from a nameless slime mold to a ruler of magical beasts begins. Come along and explore this new series. A swamp forest stretched out before him, murky and damp. Classic Isekai start, but instead of a sword, he turns out to be a blob of slime mold. Fireflies flickered in the night like tiny glowing orbs. Peaceful, sure, but also a bit eerie when you are a gooey pile of cells. Then came a rhythmic thumping sound from deeper in the woods. Something was out there, and it did not sound friendly. Where am I? He blurted out, utterly lost in the dark. Looked like he'd been dropped into a survival game without a tutorial. Last thing he remembered, scrolling through a manga in bed before dozing off. And now he is here, apparently reincarnated into some weird creature. Talk about a sudden plot twist. Wait, did I just die and get summoned to another world? He groaned. What kind of cliche is this? But hey, plenty of stories start like this, so might as well roll with it. First priority, figure out the surroundings and how not to die. Practical. He called out into the darkness. Hello? Anybody here? Only the buzzing of insects answered. Classic deserted area. Better keep quiet, he muttered, noticing the swampy air thick with mosquitoes. The whole place felt like a humid nightmare. What a dump. Strangely though, the dampness felt kind of nice against his body. Wait, am I actually comfortable right now? He chuckled. Talk about adapting fast. Not the time to enjoy. He snapped back to reality. I need to figure out what I have turned into. Then a system window popped up. Oh, right, the mandatory Isekai interface. Species, slime mold, level 1, trait, decomposer, warning, health low, consume food or rest. He panicked. I am a freaking slime mold, and I am losing health already. Food. I need food. But what is edible around here? His eyes darted left and right. The system note decomposer gave him a clue. So slime molds eat wood. He focused on a rotting log, and his body automatically spread out to envelop it. The taste? Like soggy biscuits. Not great, but it works. 15 minutes later, a notification level up. Stats increased, but now wood gives no more XP for an hour. Time to explore. He got a skill point and 2 options. Decompose and pulse. Decompose he knew, but pulse? Did Isekai just get product placement? He dumped the point into pulse out of curiosity. Pulse activated, and energy surged through his body. The skill description unlocked. It allowed him to move by flowing his internal protoplasm. Basically, a wiggle ability. Oh wow, so this is pulse, he exclaimed. Knowledge just downloaded into his brain. Even though he technically had no brain now, the system did the thinking for him. Since wood grinding was on cooldown, he decided to hit the surface. And hey, he discovered he could shapeshift at will. That is pretty cool actually. He spotted a glowing mushroom in the distance. Dinner? Maybe? But what if it is toxic? Common sense said do not eat strange fungi, but his slime instincts screamed delicious. He plotted the shortest path. Slime molds are naturally efficient pathfinders. Fun fact, in real life, slime molds can solve mazes faster than human engineers. Tokyo's subway network, a slime mold remapped it in 26 hours. This guy had built-in GPS. He slithered up the mushroom stalk, feeling its surface. One wrong move, and it could be poison. Grinning, he chomped down without hesitation. Time to feast. In his head, he imagined a cute mushroom girl he'd been chatting with online. After all this time, we finally meet. He fantasized. The mushroom? It seemed to glare back. Hard guy bang bang. That you? It asked. The one and only, he replied, still daydreaming. Then the mushroom lunged. Come here, it cooed. Foul temptress. This is a catfish, he screamed as the toxin hit. Warning, toxin detected. Health draining fast. The system flashed. He was poisoned, and his body screamed in alarm. Without a second thought, he snapped off the infected part of his body and slithered away. Painful, but necessary. His max HP dropped to 17, but the poison was gone. Phew. Quick thinking saved my skin, or what is left of it. He glared at the mushroom. You got lucky this time, but I will be back. As he slithered away, he muttered that he'd head back to his base, regroup, and come back for round 2. Back at his trusty old log, he settled in to recover his strength. 15 minutes later, a notification popped up. His health was fully restored to 35, but wood decomposition was still on cooldown. He let out a satisfied burp. Ah, back to peak condition. Fully healed, he he wriggled back toward the mushroom with renewed confidence. I am back, baby. He'd figured out a loop: nibble a bit of the mushroom, break off before the poison got lethal, then retreat to the log to heal. Rinse and repeat. He called it the mountain removal project, because persistence pays off. Time was on his side, he declared. There was no way he would not eventually take this thing down. In his mind, the mushroom taunted him. 8 times already, and you still will not give up. He imagined himself as a cop, slapping handcuffs on the toxic mushroom. You are under arrest, punk. Then, in reality, he finally managed to engulf the mushroom successfully. A system message announced he'd gained poison resistance level 1 in experience points. He noted the new skill, so that is why his tolerance had been increasing with each attempt. Smart thinking. Still, he was a bit disappointed not to level up. He'd expected more EXP from such a nasty mushroom. But hey, in a swamp, mushrooms are practically unlimited. He'd just find another one. The grind continues. And just like that, the system flooded him with notifications. Decomposition successful, experience gained, level up from 2 to 3, half a skill point awarded, then poison resistance upgraded from 1 to 2, plus another half skill point. The grind was paying off. He spotted a monk's cap mushroom, deadly poisonous but high in experience, and with a spicy kick. As he devoured it along with a pile of others, the system confirmed another level up to 5, but also warned that decomposing mushrooms would no longer grant experience for the next 24 hours. His HP sat at a full 79. Finally hit the limit, he muttered, packing the rest to take home. He started humming a silly tune, calling himself the little expert of mushrooms, planning to wear the poisonous ones as both food storage and self-defense. He compared himself to crabs using sea anemones to ward off octopuses, thinking he could use poisonous mushrooms to scare away monsters that wanted to eat him. I am a genius, he grinned, feeling his safety was temporarily sorted. A sudden noise pulled him out of his thoughts. A sharp whoosh in the air. He looked up and froze. A massive hornet was buzzing around. He prayed the poisonous mushrooms would scare it off, muttering, "Please do not see me. Please do not see me." A loud croak and a whack echoed as a frog's tongue snapped out and snatched the hornet midair. What the heck? Another giant frog, he exclaimed, watching the frog reel in its catch. A huge blast rocked the area, and the hornet's swarm turned their attention to the frog. They are duking it out, he observed from his hiding spot. The frog soon found itself surrounded by angry wasps. Stings and bites rained down on the amphibian as the wasps fought back fiercely. He noted that individual wasps were no match for the frog, but the swarm made up for it with numbers. A greedy thought crossed his mind. If they weakened each other, he could scavenge the remains. Decomposing monster bodies would surely give way more experience than mushrooms and wood, he reasoned. The frog charged up a powerful tongue strike, ready to take out the swarm. With a mighty cry, the frog's tongue lashed out, slapping directly into the cluster of wasps. All 5 wasps were caught and dragged into the frog's mouth. The slime mold watched in shock and terror at the frog's sudden domination. The frog sat smugly on a branch, but behind it, a dark shadow loomed. The frog let out a confused croak, only to realize a snake was right behind it, jaws wide open. Before the frog could react, the snake struck and swallowed it whole. Then, a giant bird descended from above, eyeing the snake. The bird's massive red eye stared directly at the slime mold, making him freeze in place. He quickly yielded, stammering, "Please, go ahead." Inside, he was screaming, "This is the worst possible start. I give up." The bird looked at him with pure contempt, dismissing him as unworthy of its attention. With a sudden flap of its enormous wings, the bird created a powerful gust. The blast hit the slime mold hard, dropping his HP by 30 points. Silence returned to the forest as leaves drifted down in the moonlight. The moon hung high in the sky, casting a pale glow over the clearing. He shivered violently, huddled beneath a cluster of mushrooms, terrified. He realized he was at the very bottom of the food chain, but that was also why the giant monster had not bothered putting him on the menu. A grim comfort. A note appeared explaining that decomposers are not usually part of the food chain, but in this world, rules were flexible. His status showed, Slime Mold Level 5, Achievement Weak Creature, Trait Decomposer, HP 79 out of 79. 1. 3 skill points remaining, with skills Decomposition at level G, Pulse at level 3, and Poison Resistance at level 2. Even after jumping 4 levels in one night, he was still a fragile little slime. But then a sobering thought hit him as a lowly slime. How was he supposed to survive and rise in this world? Worn out and drained, he sighed, wishing this nightmare would end and he'd wake up in his own bed.
The system continuously reported decreasing HP, causing the slime mold to scream in agony. He acquired the level 1 explosion skill, which can generate a powerful thrust from the cytoplasm, but requires a 5-minute cooldown. He was bewildered, not knowing what was happening. A snail suddenly sprayed acid at him. His body was decomposing as the snail sucked him, making him angrily curse. He grumbled that stealing the mushrooms was bad enough, but the snail drooled on his face, nearly ruining his looks. That was unforgivable. He wasn't fooled, telling the snail to stop pretending to be pitiful. Seeing the snail's pitiful state, he softened and decided to spare it and feed it mushrooms. He suddenly realized the situation resembled the no fight, no acquaintance trope in youth novels, and started fantasizing about forming a team. He told himself that to survive and grow stronger in this world, companions were indispensable. He invited the snail to team up, promising it all the mushrooms it could eat. The snail just stared at him without responding. Suddenly, the snail lunged at him. In pain, he saw his HP drop to 62 out of 79, bitterly realizing that the monsters here had no feelings, only a relationship of predator and prey. Realizing he was deceived by its pitiful appearance, and knowing the snail was stronger, he planned to escape while it was eating. But the snail still chased him, and he screamed in terror. He used all his skill points to upgrade Pulse to level 4 and sprinted at full speed. 3 minutes later, the chase continued. He was disappointed to realize the snail's speed matched his. He couldn't escape at all. The snail spat acid again. A blast of acid cost him as much as 27 HP. His body was split in two by the acid. He wondered which side his consciousness would stay in, but then realized it wasn't the time. The snail screeched. It seemed injured too. He exclaimed in astonishment. The snail sucked up the damaged part of his body. He gritted his teeth and endured, vowing revenge later. The snail approached again. He angrily cursed, "You dare come again." He grabbed a random mushroom as a weapon. When the snail lunged, he quickly stuffed the mushroom into its mouth. He immediately activated the level 1 explosion skill, and at the same time the snail was poisoned by the mushroom. The purple venom began to spread throughout the snail's body. The snail finally fell, unable to withstand the toxicity. The system announced the target was defeated. He gained experience, reached level 5, and received bonus skill points. He happily realized his deduction was correct. The snail lacked poison resistance, and had to dissolve the mushrooms before eating them. The slime mushroom laughed heartily for defeating the first magical beast in the otherworld, then wondered curiously what he would gain from decomposing it. He remarked that the snail's slimy meat was a bit gross, but consoled himself that snail meat is still meat, so he just pretend it was a French dish. He decided to use the decomposition skill, but as soon as he ate it, he spat it out because the taste was awful, salty and sour, with a texture like thick snot, disgusting. The system announced the decomposition was interrupted, and he received no experience. He felt regret, thinking it was a hard-earned prize. He realized that if he didn't get stronger quickly, everything would be meaningless. Reality didn't allow him to be picky. So, rather than die or go hungry, he decided to hold his nose even though he didn't have one, swallow it, then use decomposition again. He continued the decomposition process. After a while, he finished absorbing the snail. The system announced decomposition complete. He gained experience, leveled up from 6 to 7, and restored to peak condition. The slime mushroom left the snail's remains. Although the system said he was restored, he felt even worse, nauseous. He checked his skill panel 1. 4 enhancement points, skills decomposition level 6, pulse level 4, poison resistance level 3, burst level 1. He nicknamed them decomposition is eating, pulse is running away, poison resistance is taking hits, burst is also running away. He lamented that he still didn't have any attack skills. He groaned but told himself that happens when you're a slime mushroom. The system displayed a messy stat screen. He consoled himself that even if he had attack skills, he wouldn't dare use them with insufficient strength. So he decided to continue upgrading Pulse. The system confirmed upgrading Pulse from level 4 to level 5. He eagerly wanted to see how much faster he had become. He tried moving, but only got 20 centimeters. He found that the speed was indeed faster, 20 centimeters per second, equivalent to 0.78 kilometers per hour. He cried because he was still too weak. 1 week later, he recounted that hiding like this was safe but resources were almost depleted, only enough for 2 levels. He called out "Chot Chot," while saying he had figured out the slime mushroom's body traits, and it was time to find a new base. Before setting off, he decided to stock up on more food. He used the probing skill, flattening his body into strands to probe multiple directions simultaneously. The higher his HP, the more cytoplasm, and the wider the probing range. He expanded his body and began searching. The system announced he caught 3 white mushrooms and stored them inside his body. He then caught 6 grass mushrooms and stored them as well. He remarked that by mastering body control, he could store items inside, probe and decompose simultaneously, greatly increasing efficiency. The system confirmed successful decomposition and experience gained. Continuous decomposition increased experience, and poison resistance rose to level 4. But the system reported a target that couldn't be decomposed. He cried out in pain because he encountered another snail and lost 9 HP. The snail spat acid. He felt relieved that his speed had increased, and he dodged the attack. He noticed this snail was faster than the previous one, and it made a chio sound. He confidently said the snail couldn't hit him anymore. However, he still got hit by the acid, losing 33 HP. He was inside the acid mist, but it was okay. He deliberately got hit to stuff a poisonous mushroom into the snail's mouth. He said knowing the opponent's weakness makes it easy to defeat. That's information asymmetry. The snail squeaked chia and died from the poison. The system reported successful decomposition, experience gained, and level up from 9 to 10. He felt nauseated by the taste, but the experience from the magical beast was ample, so he continued on his way. He detected a stalker and called out, "Come out, little snail." A giant creature appeared, called the centipede. It stood before the slime mushroom. It waved its many legs. The slime mushroom, terrified, screamed, "So scary!" The centipede lunged to attack. He backed away shouting, "Don't come here!" He used poisonous mushrooms to attack, but the centipede cut through all the mushrooms. He realized this move was useless against it. The centipede wrapped around him with the skill 100, leg strangle. He gradually enveloped the centipede. The centipede struggled, realizing the slime mushroom's body was immune to slashing attacks. He said, "What a surprise," and unceremoniously took the experience. He looked for a new target, a dung beetle. He saw a bee that was also beautiful, but couldn't reach it. He leisurely ate mushrooms. A status window appeared, species slime mushroom, level 13 achievement, weak creature, trait decomposition, HP 570 fed point fitsnan 0. 1. Skills decomposition level 6, pulse level 5, poison resistance level 5, burst level 1. He was thrilled at the fast leveling speed, found the slime mushroom traits not bad, regained confidence and sang happily. He thought about the food chain and felt excited, planning to change his menu to try large frog legs. He told himself that if he could get through the initial difficult stage, he would grow like a snowball, and dominating the different world was not far off. He saw another puddle and wondered why there were so many. He complained about the many puddles, then wondered if there were many resources in the water, and wanted to explore underwater. He decided to give it a try. Suddenly he felt his body swell up, as if about to burst. He realized it was an osmosis phenomenon, explaining osmotic pressure and comparing it to red blood cells in fresh water. He couldn't bear it, so he temporarily postponed his plan to explore the aquatic world. Suddenly something surfaced in the water. He exclaimed in surprise, "A crab, all golden yellow." He saw a large crab, dreaming of its plump claws and delicious crab roe. He thought this was the real food after days of eating bugs, and quickly invited the crab to come ashore and be friends. The crab crawled up, making a sound. He saw the crab only spitting bubbles, seemingly not falling for the trick, and got annoyed. He decided not to risk going into the water just for food. He thought of a plan. He could decompose poisonous mushrooms into liquid, and pour it into the water to take down the crab. The crab suddenly shot water like a gun at him. He was hit and cried out. His body was pierced by the water stream. He was stunned by the crab's water attack. The system notified him of losing 25 HP. He tried to dodge but was hit again, losing another 10 HP. He hurriedly hid behind a tree trunk. He noted that the crab's power was far above the previous bugs. The water attack could deal damage. He decided to stay hidden and wait for the crab to lose patience. He saw the crab seem to give up, but remained vigilant. The crab came ashore looking for him. The crab scurried quickly on the ground. He worried whether the crab would find him. Panicked, he quickly climbed a tree, lamenting that he had gone from hunter to prey. He planned to use the tree to his advantage, but suddenly a spider blocked his path. He arrogantly told the spider to get out of the way, that he was busy, warning that he had eaten many bugs like it. The spider ignored him and attacked with a leg slash. He lost 30 HP, surprised that he wasn't immune to slashing attacks, and discovered the spider was level 16 with level 8 swordsmanship. He was caught between two enemies. The crab shot water from below, costing him another 17 HP. He lamented his bad luck, feeling cornered. The crab continued to shoot water, and the spider also attacked. He dodged and the water jet hit the spider, losing one leg. The spider angrily charged to the ground. The spider shot web at the crab. The spider slashed the crab with its legs. The crab used its shell to defend. The crab struggled, using its claws to break the web. The spider manipulated more web. The crab was stuck, using its claws to remove it. He from the tree secretly rejoiced that his plan to redirect the enemies had succeeded. The crab continued to break the web when suddenly a spider leg shot forward. A huge explosion the crab blocked with its claws. The spider began to tire. The crab finally removed all the web. The spider quickly dodged the crab's attack, but suddenly, a swarm of spiders from somewhere shot silk and tied the crab tightly. The crab was tied tightly by the spider's silk, unable to move. The slime mold from afar remarked, "The big crab was tied up like fried crab." The little spiders had turned the tables. The crab blew bubbles and looked up at the spiders. The crab's mouth was full of bubbles, ready to attack. Suddenly, the crab shot out an extremely powerful stream of water. It spun around using the water jet to cut the spiders. Many spiders were cut in half, falling to the ground. The slime mold panicked when he saw the crab's survival instinct activated. The crab spat out all the water in its body, seemingly exhausted. The slime mold asked if it was done spitting. With spider carcasses scattered on the ground cut in half, he crawled closer to the battlefield to observe. He criticized the crab for being weak from shooting water recklessly. The slime mold pondered how to finish it off. Covering its mouth was dangerous. Using poison mushrooms couldn't open its mouth, and if left too long it would recover and cause trouble. He decided to use a large stone nearby and store it in his space. But the system reported insufficient space. The slime mold realized the space was limited by blood amount, so he had to spit out all the mushrooms in his body. Then he successfully stored the stone. This was quite difficult, but he still managed. The slime mold lunged down from above with the stone, shouting loudly, ready to finish the crab. The stone fell straight down. The crab shot water to block it but failed. The stone crushed the crab, ending the battle. The slime mold declared himself the winner in the three-way melee. The system announced that the target was defeated, gained experience, and leveled up from level 13 to 14, gaining 0.5 skill points. The slime mold was elated, cheering and throwing a feast to celebrate. The crab's carcass lay on the ground. The slime mold prepared food from the crab and spider meat. He sat down and began to eat heartily. He clicked his tongue in praise of the fresh and delicious meal. He recalled the terrible dishes he had before, like moldy bread, slimy snails, and bugs. The slime mold resolved to survive in this world, because there were many delicious dishes ahead, even thinking of turning it into a food story. He ate everything clean, thanked nature, and said not a bit was wasted. Full he belched, and the system to stats: HP 168168, skills decomposition level 5, pulse poison resistance level 4, explosion level 1. Full of energy, he said it was time to do that thing. The slime mold left. He exerted himself doing something, shouting loudly. He continued to strain, looking exhausted. He called something out. The slime mold visualized the crab's bubbles spraying skill. He thought he didn't necessarily have to use the system, could learn the skill himself because the crab just used water in its body. So the slime mold could do it too. He continued trying to force water out, straining. He told himself it was the wrong direction. Try again. He panted, still couldn't control the direction and power, feeling weak. He was frustrated because he couldn't do it. An explosion sounded. The system reported that the explosion level 1 skill activated and evolved into spore ejection. The slime mold rejoiced that the skill could evolve and no cooldown, but realized each use consumed HP. He tried shooting at the crab shell, saw it was effective. He shot repeatedly, delighted. The skill leveled up to level 2, but each shot cost HP. The system warned low HP and activated auto-eat. He understood that he had no magic, only used cellular matter to fight. He concluded he should focus on growth, decompose and absorb everything. Then he began eating spider meat. He looked for the part of his body that had been cut off earlier. He was surprised that the severed part was large in size. He tried to retrieve that part. Retrieval successful, he regained memories and experience, recovered and increased max HP by 30. The slime mold realized that detached body parts could still dissolve on their own, and when retrieved, he would gain their experience and HP. He was excited to discover a bug. He thought that if he sent many clones to hunt, and then retrieved them, leveling up would be many times faster. He used the split skill, cutting off a part of his body, losing 10 HP. He noticed that when HP fell below 30, both the main body and clones would enter auto-eating state. With a max HP of 198, he could split into many clones if there was enough food. He collapsed to the ground, seemingly unconscious or asleep. He vomited another pile of slime, losing 30 HP. The clones moved, and he exclaimed that this was like learning the clone technique. He shouted fire, and imagined an army of slime molds. He ordered a clone to handle the dry log. He assigned other clones to take care of the mushroom pile. The system displayed info: species slime mold, achievement the weakling, trait decomposition, HP 198, 6 skill points, and skills decomposition level 6, pulse level 1, poison resistance level 4, plasma bombardment level 2. After arranging the clones, he decomposed spider meat to recover because safety first. He felt much stronger. He was immune to normal thrusts and normal slashes. Against high-level slashes, he was also basically immune. He was confident no physical attack could deal lethal damage, but worried about magic. He thought if he encountered magic, it would surely be his end. However, he hadn't encountered any magic, wondering if he lived in a world of animals. A clone dove into a lake. A large explosion and water splash echoed, and the clone was attacked by a crab. The crab clamped down and began eating the clone. Many other crabs crawled onto the shore to eat the clones. Nearby a tree was partially cut. A loud noise startled the crabs, and the tree fell. He caught 6 phantom crabs and cheered. The system announced defeat of targets, gained experience, leveled up to 14 and 15, received 4 enhancement points. He yelled again. The system announced decomposition complete, gained experience and full recovery. Optimal recovery state. He was ready to fight. He imagined himself as a cowboy and used plasma bombardment. He practiced shooting slime at crab shells as targets. The system reported low HP, triggering auto-eating. Plasma bombardment skill increased to level 5 and 6. After 2 days of training, the power and accuracy of the skill increased. He could fire 30 shots. He thought about how to become stronger. He came up with a way to add seasoning, wrapping poison mushrooms in the bullets to poison targets from a distance. Similarly, wrapping rocks to increase physical damage. He wondered who could still stand against him. He praised himself as a genius. Suddenly heard a meow from a tree hollow, saw a small light. He curiously looked into the tree hollow. He was startled to see a glowing owl. He exclaimed that it was a magical beast that knew magic. He hurriedly retreated. The owl opened its eyes, but it seemed a girl was looking through the owl's eyes. The girl said, "Oh." A man asked the girl if she found anything. The girl replied it was just a strange little monster. She added, "This slime is making me tired again." A group of people walked on the grass carpet, chatting as they went. They found it strange that they didn't encounter any high-level monsters along the way. The pink-haired girl told Xiao Gangbei to sniff carefully to find the path, while the man said that even magical communication couldn't reach the chairman. Everything seemed to be isolated. In the forest, the slime mold ran away in panic. He thought that the person just now seemed to have discovered him, and he absolutely couldn't afford to be touched. He panicked and wondered where to go now to be safe. Seeing the other side of the river, he thought it would be safe to hide there, but how to cross? He then thought of the momentum theorem. He used the skill plasmodial barrage to shoot cytoplasm, thereby leaping across the river, but his health had dropped by 80 points. After crossing the river, the slime mold ran wildly in the forest. He sighed in relief, thinking that being this far should be safe. He ate a branch to replenish energy, muttering to himself that although he was the strongest among low-level monsters of the same rank, if he encountered someone 1 rank higher, he might still be killed in 1 blow. Suddenly, he felt a terrifying pressure. Something was chasing him, even more frightening than the snake crane monster earlier. He wondered in horror what that owl really was. But when he looked closely, he realized it wasn't an owl, but something else. A severed giant finger lay on the ground, probably from the monster just now. The slime mold saw the finger and muttered in astonishment, "This? A finger?" Intuition told him that by decomposing and absorbing this high-level magical beast's finger, he could not only skip several levels of strength but even evolve. He crawled onto the finger in great joy and began the decomposition process. He proceeded with decomposition, making gurgling sounds, absorbing the finger. Suddenly, the system announced decomposition failed. Skill level too low or target level gap too large. The target's inviolability was triggered, and his cells began to be rebounded. He took damage of -10, -20, -10 health. He panicked. He quickly used the skill autotomy to cut off the part of his body stuck to the finger and escaped in time. After escaping, he regretted decomposition skill level is too low. I should have put skill points into it first. He lamented that he couldn't decompose the premium material before him, feeling like a eunuch visiting a brothel. Since the finger was too large, his body space couldn't hold it, and he couldn't carry it away. He decided that the only option was to level up, max out the decomposition skill, and then come back to try. Suddenly the ground shook. He was surprised. An earthquake. A loud boom sounded. He used plasmodial barrage to create a large pit under the finger, swallowing it into the ground. But he realized this side was also affected by the earthquake, and he couldn't escape. A voice shouted stop, and the ground stopped shaking. The slime mold escaped the pit, crying and saying wah wah, the outside world is so scary. He realized that the further out he went, the smaller he felt. He could no longer be arrogant. He decided to obediently hide and develop through decomposition. That was the only way out now. Underground in a cave, a treasure chest lay among rocks and tree roots. The golden finger had been buried underground. It seemed a creature full of teeth was coveting the golden finger. The slime mold decided to pause here, planning to build a temporary base and return tomorrow to retrieve the split body. He used the decomposition skill to create a small entrance, then expanded the interior space, making it impossible for the large magic beasts to get in. He began construction. He continued using decomposition to dig a tunnel through the earth. He planted weakly poisonous glowing mushrooms around him, excitedly shouting as he planted. The temporary base was complete with a narrow passage, poisonous mushrooms blocking the door, and a fake area outside. Through a small crevice was the real hiding place, safe. From now on he also had a home feeling full of security. Suddenly he became irritated, repeatedly complaining of discomfort because of strange noises outside. He snapped it too noisy so annoying. Looking outside, he saw a crowd and guessed it was the sound of fighter jets. Then he had a great idea. He greeted the crowd. The system reminded eliminate targets to gain experience. He began shooting slime at the bees. The swarm of bees gathered around his cave. He crouched and crawled into the cave, and the bees followed. The system reminded again. He compared himself to a sticky insect trap, then relaxed and absorbed the entire swarm of bees deliciously. A beehive hung on a tree in the forest. The slime mold looked toward the beehive. He discovered the bee's nest and pondered thoughtfully. The entire swarm flew straight toward him. He calmly said, "Come on, your attacks are ineffective against me, the more the merrier." The bees surrounded him, flapping their wings noisily. The system warned that the ambient temperature was rising, cells starting to die. He explained in the real world, bees use this heat incubation method, but in another world, magic wasp bees also know it. His HP decreased gradually. He was stunned, there's such a trick. Then he used the skill cytoplasmic ejection to eliminate the bees. The skill wiped out the bee swarm, bee carcasses flying everywhere, but some bees used wax cushion to block the attack. He realized the forces near the hive were much stronger than outside. The bees broke off their stingers. The bees swung their stingers to draw a spell. Many types of bees appeared: worker bees, soldier bees, mage bees. He was amazed. I didn't expect them to be evolved types, even knowing magic. He used cytoplasmic ejection again. He shot slime toward the bee swarm. He noticed the swarm was too numerous. Each attack consumed cellular material. Although his HP kept decreasing, he clung to the big tree, seeping into the trunk to absorb nutrients and recover. He formed a cycle of absorbing and shooting. The bees continued using wax cushion to defend. He was annoyed because the bees had shields. He planned to use a stone to increase power, but only one stone was left in his space. He thought about using the last stone. The bees stung him, but it was ineffective. He said, "Eat truly, offering yourselves to me." He absorbed the bees. The system notified received X4 bee spear, X1 bee stinger, warning space is full. He shot the absorbed bee stingers, killing many shield-bearing bees. The witch bees buzzed, waved their hands, ordered a retreat, and drew a formation spell. He sneered, "A retreat? Do you know my power now?" The slime mold, covered in bee stingers, looked up at the bees above.
The mage bees gathered and formed a ball of honey, catching the slime mold's attention and making him crave a taste. With a swing, the honey ball transformed into a blazing fireball as the bee cast the spark ember spell straight at him. The slime mold was caught off guard, losing 70 AP from the blast. He realized fire magic was his worst enemy, especially with the honey splash effect, so he decided to flee. With a loud crack, the slime mold split his body apart to make a getaway. But he wasn't going down without a fight, unleashing his plasmodial barrage. The blast sent bees reeling. The bees quickly erected a twin beeswax barrier to block the attack. The slime mold grumbled about the unfair buff, but the bees pressed on with their assault. He tried to circle around and escape. The mage bee called for a swarm summon. Glowing suicide bees crawled out from the hive ready to explode. They rushed at him and exploded. With a pia he hopped to another branch just in time to avoid the explosion. A bee sawed through the branch he was perched on. The bees swarmed around him, encircling him. The mage bee conjured another fireball and hurled it at the slime mold. With a swing, the fireball flew toward him. The slime mold was trapped between fireballs and kamikaze bees. A massive explosion rocked the area. But suddenly the slime mold burst up from below, catching the bees by surprise. The bees tried to bite him, but he taunted them, saying their main force was out and they couldn't stop him now. He revealed that from the start, while absorbing nutrients from the tree, he had been secretly extending a tunnel straight to their hive. Then he explained how he used most of his HP to create a decoy, drawing their attention while he slipped through the tunnel to the hive, muttering, "Not this side," as he searched. He tried another direction and found a honey storage room. But that wasn't what he was after, so he decided to come back for the honey later. At last he found the queen bee. The worker bees spotted him approaching their queen and turned vicious. He grabbed the queen, warning the bees not to move or she'd be hurt. A commander bee screeched and ordered the swarm to attack anyway. He asked if they wouldn't negotiate, then decided to finish off the queen. The bees instantly lost control and fell from the sky. He explained that the queen was like a central command. With her gone, the entire hive would collapse. With a final drop, the queen was dead. He had hoped to negotiate, but low-level monsters only followed instinct. Then the system notified him that he gained enough experience to level up from 15 to 17. The slime's poison resistance improved and it gained a new skill, central command. But when it tried to invest a skill point, nothing happened. The system said racial skills could only be upgraded through proficiency. So the slime decided to max out its pole skill instead, since it couldn't put points in decomposition. With its HP increased, its internal slime space expanded, and the hornet honey was a valuable resource that could restore 400 HP when decomposed. Despite having no heart, the slime felt a mix of emotions. It reflected on its journey from defeating a snail to preying on insects, spiders, crabs, and now a whole hornet family. The slime imagined a crab family, where the father crab apologized for not coming home to play games, and the mother explained he was working. The mother crab told the child to understand, and the child agreed. Worried the father might be drunk on the road, the mother took the child to search for him. The child sang loudly while they searched, but the mother told him to be quiet because it was late. They spotted the father crab staggering along. The mother corrected his direction and asked the child to help the drunk father. The child happily agreed. But then the slime, having devoured the father crab, told the child that his dad was delicious, horrifying him. The biting cold wind made the slime shiver. It realized it had become the villain in this story. It sighed, thinking that its human-based thoughts caused guilt, but in this other world it had no choice. It reasoned that in nature it was hunt or be hunted. To survive, it had to prey and decompose. Deciding that material conditions determined ideology, it focused on survival and went to retrieve its split bodies released that morning. The slime noticed a campfire in the distance. It heard a crackle and wondered if there were humans. A human voice asked Nia if she wasn't afraid of getting poked by that boar. The slime was shocked to confirm it was indeed humans. Nia explained that when relaxed, little Steelback's bristles were soft, and she thanked him for helping them find the way out tomorrow. Hawk apologized to Nia and Cole, saying he had come to find the guild master but got lost himself. Cole reassured Hawk that no one could have predicted the magical communication failure in the forest becoming a maze. He said the guild master was one of the top 3 guild masters, though it had been 2 years since he disappeared. Cole added that there were rumors their guild was suspected by the church, and the guild master had come here on a mission from the Pope. 10 years ago, Goen founded the 100 Styles Guild, which accepted anyone regardless of race or class as long as they agreed with its principles. Goen fairly distributed resources, making the guild known for generosity and quickly rising to become one of the 8 major guilds. But the guild's rapid growth drew suspicion from the church. 2 years ago, Goen went to the swamp forest on a mission and never returned. Without the guild master, members had left, leaving the guild in danger. Hawk, feeling indebted, formed a team to search for Goen, but only Nia and Cole responded. Nia said she wouldn't have become an adventurer without the guild. Cole sarcastically remarked that she could control intermediate monsters and would have no problem joining another guild if Goen was gone. Nia told Cole to shut up and sleep, and he apologized. The slime was secretly listening, trying to catch information about the guilds and church, but couldn't hear clearly. It knew that gathering worldview info from humans was crucial. It stretched its slime body forward to act as a listening device. Suddenly, Cole sensed a monster. Cole cast Ice Spike, hitting a piece of the slime. The slime's speed was reduced by 90% due to the frost effect. Cole said it was super effective, while Hawk asked where the monster was, and Little Steelback snorted. The group discovered a pile of yellow slime impaled by ice spikes. Little Steelback bit the slime and dragged it from the bushes. The slime panicked. Just as Little Steelback was about to eat the slime, Nia yelled at him to stop. Nia said not to kill it, as it was just a harmless little monster passing by. Little Steelback spat out the slime, and Nia picked it up. Nia said she felt a sense of familiarity and offered to make a monster contract with the little monster. The slime was ecstatic, feeling like she was an angel, and desperately wanted to accept. But Hawk objected, saying they didn't have time to collect monsters and shouldn't waste mana on a low-level slime. The slime mentally corrected that it was a slime mold, not a slime, but they couldn't hear its thoughts. The slime got an idea. It extended its tendrils to the ground. Everyone was surprised by the slime's strange behavior. The slime used its tendrils to write Chinese characters, hoping to show it was intelligent. But Hawk mistook it for slime excretion and was amazed, while Nia was unsure. The slime realized that people from this world didn't understand Chinese. It decided to stop trying to communicate, fearing it might be killed as a strange monster. At least it now knew humans existed, even if they didn't share a language. The slime mold returned to the forest, hoping not to run into that terrifying owl again. Suddenly a beeping sound came from somewhere. He sensed the location of his split body. That was the effect of the central command. Without delay he set off. The sensation grew stronger. It should be just ahead. Wow, this one was huge. All that decomposition. He successfully reclaimed it and gained a lot of experience. Then he found another split. Reclaiming that one gave even more experience, pushing his HP beyond the limit and granting poison resistance level 7. He also leveled up to 22. But then the signal started weakening. Or is it where? His experience package?
Over there!
As he got closer, he saw that a snail was eating his split. He drove the snail away with a shout. The poor thing was trembling. He comforted it, saying it had been through enough. But suddenly, a tongue shot out from nowhere, and blood splattered. It turned out a frog had eaten the remaining slime mold splits. The slime mold was furious. The frog croaked. The slime mold swore revenge, saying the frog would pay for eating his babies. He fired a plasmodial barrage. The frog was hit. The slime mold smirked. That was easy. He felt he'd even take on that snake-tailed bird now. But then he noticed the frog was still alive. The frog caught the projectile and dove into a nearby pond. Trying to escape, no way. The slime mold chased after it. He fired another shot into the water, causing a huge explosion. But the frog had hidden deep. He couldn't reach it. Then the frog jumped out again. That's right, frogs are amphibians and need to breathe. This time you're dead. The frog suddenly used a skill called power release from underwater. It launched toward the slime mold, but he managed to dodge. He countered with a plasmodial barrage. The projectile hit the frog's eye. The slime mold realized the frog hadn't been trying to escape. It had been luring him to the pond to hunt. He had gotten overconfident after the beehive battle. In the wild, you never know who's the predator. The wounded frog charged again. The slime mold realized he had run out of stones for his barrage. He decided to attack anyway. The frog easily deflected the weak projectiles. The slime mold was shocked. In a flash, the frog lunged and grabbed him. The slime mold grabbed a tree branch, refusing to let go. But the branch snapped and the frog's tongue pulled him closer. In a reversal, the slime mold used the broken branch to stab the frog as it pulled him in. He shouted, "Take that." It was a close call. The injured frog fell back into the water. Unfortunately, the body sank, so there was nothing left to decompose. Then a beam of energy shot up from the water, narrowly missing him. The frog had transformed and emerged from below, unleashing a skill called Sanctified Fall. The slime mold exclaimed in surprise, "What the hell?" as strange sounds echoed around. A monstrous frog shot 2 red beams from its eyes, chasing after the slime mold, which cried out in distress. The slime mold saw a green hand reaching for it and muttered "killable" before scrambling away in panic. A loud dung rang out as the slime mold decided it was time to flee. Thinking that a wise slime mold doesn't stay for trouble, pondering the frog's possible third form and the oddity of its earlier defeat. The frog roared thunderously as it caught up, and the slime mold, terrified, tried to speed up. The frog shot out red tendrils like bloody lashes, trying to ensnare the slime mold. A system prompt announced that a foreign substance had invaded the cells and decomposition had begun, and the slime mold realized its blood was toxic, even its level 8 poison resistance failing. The frog, now called the king of beasts, shot its tongue at the slime mold. The slime mold took only 1 point of damage and said no need to panic, physical attacks don't hurt much, but then it realized it had fallen into water. A system warning flashed: cellular osmotic pressure imbalance. Please leave immediately. The frog pulled the slime mold toward its gaping mouth, ready to swallow it whole. The slime mold writhed, trying to escape the frog's mouth, but its health dropped rapidly by 33 points each second. The slime mold thought desperately, before being digested, I need to shoot my core out, but just keeping its mouth open is taking all my strength. I can't split off. The frog kept pushing and the slime mold gasped, no choice. With a gurgle, the slime mold decided to gamble and started absorbing water. The slime mold shouted, "Choke on this," as it exploited the osmotic imbalance, wildly absorbing water and swelling in size. "Still trying to stuff me in," it taunted. The system indicated it was using honey from hornet monsters, restoring 400 AP each time, and the slime mold consumed them all, growing even larger. "That's what you get for stuffing me," the slime mold declared as the frog began to bloat and then exploded. The slime mold began as the scene shifted. The system announced that the monster was defeated, experience points gained, and the foreign substance was decomposed, granting an antibody skill, while the slime mold began breaking down the frog's remains. The slime mold looked at its enormous new body and exclaimed, "I've become so big." A system message gave it the skill Osmotic Regulation MX, and showed its current HP was 11,870 out of 924, with a warning that excess health would be cleared in 1 hour as a timer counted down. The slime mold mused that its larger size allowed it to regulate osmotic pressure, an unexpected benefit, but then fretted, "But I'm about to lose over 10,000 HP. It resolved that this was an achievement from emptying its inventory and had to be used, thinking about its current size. The slime mold laughed and said, "I've got a great idea. Remember that game Roll the Sticky Ball?" Even after adapting to the osmotic pressure, moving through the water was a struggle, and the agile fish monsters weren't worth the time. With a frustrated shout, he decided to head back to land. As he moved through the forest, he gathered branches and other debris along the way. He greeted 2 beavers with a cheerful hello. He lunged at the beavers, but they escaped. Not missing a beat, he declared he would take the fish. With plenty of resources around, he saw no need to slaughter the cute monsters. He spared them as a last reminder of his human soul. Spotting a squirrel, he noted that there was another one around. A fire squirrel squeaked defensively at him. The squirrel shot a fireball from its tail, dealing multiple hits of 60 damage each. He grumbled that fire magic was super effective. He decided enough was enough. Since the squirrel started it, he would fight back, declaring that playing with fire was forbidden in the forest. He lunged at the squirrel and quickly defeated it, decomposing the body. The system notified him of experience gained from both the kill and the decomposition. In another encounter, a lizard roared as it was sent flying by an unseen force. In the ghost forest, a tree stump struck the lizard. The lizard retaliated by spitting acid at the tree stump. The acid sizzled as it corroded the tree stump. A slime mold emerged from the tree stump and leaped to another tree. The enraged tree extended its branches in a wild rush. The branches shot toward the lizard. Roots from the ground stabbed upward, and a branch pierced the lizard's arm, causing it to panic. With a shout, the branch burst into flower. The flower bloomed open. The blooming caused severe injury to the lizard. The tree stump flung the lizard away with a shout. The lizard struggled to regain its footing. It landed safely and activated its thermal vision, using its tongue to sense the surroundings. With a clattering sound, it charged at the tree stump. The lizard slashed at the tree stump with its sharp tail. With a boom, the tree stump was split in two. The lizard roared in pain as something emerged from its eyes. The lizard collapsed and a massive ball rolled toward it. It was the slime mold, now enormous. The slime mold rolled over the lizard and absorbed it. The system alerted him to a foreign object and activated antibodies. He wondered what the foreign object could be. He shrugged it off, deciding that having antibodies was enough. He needed to consume more quickly, as time was running out. Something felt wrong. He had covered dozens of acres with his slime, yet the forest remained as dense as ever. Then he realized the earth itself was moving. He glimpsed a magical symbol in the sky. Did he just see a huge magic circle flash across the sky and an explosion with no sound? The system announced that time was up and cleared his excess health. He was back to his original form. The system displayed his new status, level 49, with the title Weak Biological Lord, and a list of skills. He wondered what that title meant, joking that he might be the top dog in the kindergarten. He decided to clean out his slime mold space first. It was too cluttered, and he felt like throwing up, so he did. After emptying his space, he felt much better. With no experience to gain for the next hour, he wondered what to do. Then the system informed him that upon reaching level 50 he could choose to change jobs or evolve. He got excited, so this was how monsters got stronger in another world. He explained that both options represented a qualitative leap, like an animal gaining enlightenment. In that form he could learn magic and dominate the entire world. Suddenly the slime mold heard a noise. He spotted 3 of those magical hornets. He decided to follow them. He followed them deeper into the forest. The hive was enormous, with multiple comms connected. This must be the evolved form of a swarm. Bees were swarming a bird that was breaking into their nests. The bird was feasting on the larvae. The slime mold recognized it as the same giant bird that had scared him before, though its color was slightly different. He remembered how terrified he had been, but the bird had ignored him. The bees attacked the bird, but their attacks seemed to have no effect. The bird simply shook its body and the bees were flung away. The bees retaliated with fireball spells. A massive explosion engulfed the bird but absorbed all the flames. The slime mold was amazed that the bee's power was many times greater than the hive he had attacked before. The bird gulped down the flames and its feathers began to glow red. The bees buzzed in fear. They were terrified. The bird activated thermal vision and angrily destroyed the hives. Bodies fell everywhere. The slime mold realized the bird only turned red after absorbing fire, and it knew to kill the queen to destroy the whole swarm. He decided to collect the bodies and store them for decomposition in an hour. Suddenly the bird's wing was frozen by a spell. A message appeared: basic magic freeze. Following the magical reaction from the explosion, Cole, Nia, and Hawk arrived. They identified the creature as a snake eagle, warning each other not to underestimate it. It was clearly at Lord level. The slime mold recognized the humans from before and wondered if they were hunting the strange bird. The bird shattered the ice, encasing its wing with a sharp cry. Hawk ordered Cole to finish it with high-level ice magic while he bought time. Cole assured him that one blow would be enough. Hawk grunted as he blocked a strike from the bird. The bird held its ground and Hawk realized it must have evolved by feeding freely since the high-level monsters vanished. A snake head emerged from the bird's tail. It struck Hawk, leaving him vulnerable. Nia ordered her boar Piggy to charge. The boar slammed into the bird, breaking the snake's hold and freeing Hawk, who gasped in relief. Enraged, the bird unleashed a high-level magic attack called Pseudo-Dragon Breath, spewing flames at Hawk. Cole shouted a warning that it was high-level magic. He had no choice but to defend. Cole cast a high-level ice spell, Glacial Barrier, raising a wall of ice to block the flames. The fire roared against the ice. From the sidelines, the slime mold marveled that even if it grew big, it would be cannon fodder in a battle of this scale. The ice began to melt, but Cole held on, sneezing from the strain. With a final drip, the ice wall shattered. The slime mold wished it could also wield magic. Cole lamented that his incantation was spent, leaving him unable to cast high-level magic for now. Hawk ordered Nia to provide cover with her steelback beast, and she acknowledged. The steelback beast unleashed spinny back, firing spines at the bird. Hawk released his full power at 100%. The bird let out a confused grunt as Hawk leaped into the air. From above, Hawk brought his meteor hammer crashing down on the bird. The hammer struck the bird's head with a thunderous boom. Hawk declared it finished. Cole noted the snake eagle was on par with high-level monsters, praising their captain. The slime mold observed the humans' teamwork and resolved to ally itself with them soon. Hawk asked Nia to read the bird's memories for clues about the guild master. Suddenly a snake head burst from the ground and sank its fangs into Hawk's shoulder. The bird's head began to stir, regaining consciousness. Cole cast Ice Spike to pin the snake's neck, warning that the snake head carried petrifying venom and ordering Nia to give Hawk the antidote. Nia handed Hawk the potion, but his body was already turning to stone. Hawk tried to drink it, but his throat was already petrified, and the potion just spilled. Nia cried out as Hawk turned completely to stone. Cole told her there was no time to grieve and urged her to run, but she hesitated. He explained that the bird had absorbed the captain's life energy and would soon fully recover, so they had to retreat while they still could. Cole admitted they had misjudged the serpent eagle's strength. It was already at the level of an advanced demon lord. But if they could escape the forest within a week, the church could send a royal priest to save the captain. Cole cursed as the creature healed faster than expected. Nia, I'm taking over the battle command. The giant bird screeched and lunged straight at Cole. Nia looked to Cole for guidance. Don't panic, he said. Save your mana, we'll need it to escape. Just watch me. Cole activated a mid-tier spell, Ice Gatling, firing a barrage of frozen bullets at the approaching bird. The bird let out a furious cry as it charged a high-level fire spell. Nia, forget about me and just run. Cole ordered. What about you? She yelled back. If I don't pin it down, neither of us is getting out of here, Cole said grimly. He muttered a quick thanks for Nia's magic potion, then channeled everything into one last spell. With a cry, Cole unleashed a high-tier spell glacial barrier, erecting a massive wall of ice to shield against the incoming flames. Cole, Nia screamed. Nia urged her companion, Little Steelback, to flee. I have to escape, she resolved. I need to report everything about this twisted forest to the church. A familiar chirp caught Nia's attention. Little Mimi. I thought I'd lost you when the connection broke. With your eyes we can find the path, she started then stopped. Little Mimi, I'm over here. But the old perched on a branch was behaving oddly. Something dark and writhing clung to the old's face. Sanctified fall, Nia whispered in shock. Little Mimi. Meanwhile, inside a sealed dimensional space, a very different scene was unfolding. The system blared warnings at Jean, the master of the 100-style guild. His borrowed time and magic were running out, and fatigue would soon hit. Understood, he replied calmly. Gasping for breath, Jean shouted, Converge, as he gathered his remaining strength. A mocking voice echoed through the space. I saw you gasping, Jean. Kato, the king of the swamp forest, sneered. 2 years, and you've killed every high-level beast here and me countless times. Are you finally out of cards? And that system you keep talking to, that's what got your guild to the top, isn't it? We know about your kind transmigrators from other worlds, Kato continued. We set this trap, but you've grown far beyond expectations, with tricks still up your sleeve. One last offer, Kato said. Let me crush you completely and make you a puppet, or join us in our grand ascension. Jean paused. I'll think about it. I've decided, Jean roared. The answer is to wipe out every last one of you bastards. Kato laughed. How many times must you fail? Within this eternal barrier I am unkillable. When will you learn? Jean gathered his energy. You're just a mortal, Kato spat. You're already gasping. Cooperate, or I'll kill you now. Jean reached into his inventory and pulled something out. Take this, he yelled, tossing it. The container shattered, revealing a vial of true holy water. What is that? Kato asked, confused. A brilliant light burst forth from the open box. True holy water sears the soul, Jane explained. Your physical immortality means nothing here. I was saving this for the real enemy, but you'll do. You bastard. Kato shrieked as the holy water took effect. Even the angels are corrupt. Where did you get that? The Swamp King's form began to dissolve as he cursed in agony. The system blared a warning, a high-energy reaction detected, and the target was about to regenerate. Suddenly, a pillar of light erupted from the ground, sending debris flying everywhere. Jean muttered that the holy water burned the soul itself, and even holy corruption couldn't reverse that unless something else was at play. Kato emerged in his holy corrupted form, laughing maniacally that Jane's ultimate weapon had failed. Jean asked how Kato had gained an adaptation ability so quickly, and Kato reminded him of the Dragon Emperor's finger he had cut off earlier. Kato admitted he had been surprised Jean's spear could even pierce the Dragon Emperor's skin, and how he'd lost track of the severed finger. Luckily, a weak monster must have stumbled upon it, triggering the Dragon Emperor's inviolability, letting Kato sense and retrieve the corpse. Once recovered, Kato understood Jean had coated his weapon with true holy water, hiding it by striking the finger far away. Kato sneered that if Jean had used the full dose earlier he'd be dead, but the delay gave him time to adapt to the residual holy water and gain the adaptation ability. Now that Jean had no more tricks, Kato lunged for the kill. A deep rumble shook the ground, and something began to break through. Stone hands rose from the earth, grabbing at Jean. Kato invoked abyssal magic Earth Burial, and the stone hands seized the target. Jean activated 20 layers of element runes, absorbing the earth attribute damage from within the grasp. He launched himself forward, a glowing rune in hand, aimed at piercing through anything. Kato taunted that even the best equipment wears down and asked how long Jean intended to struggle. Jean muttered that this was a test. The monster unleashed necrotic shriek, a wave of sound aimed at Jean. Jean braced himself with his spear blocking the attack. Warnings flashed, weapon durability nearly depleted, magic resistance below 20%, and his body was fatigued. Jean ignored them and channeled spiral force into an inch strike. The system warned of irreversible damage from using high-level techniques in his current state, but Jean said it didn't matter. His spear shattered into pieces under the strain. Jean crashed to the ground, blood dripping from his wounds. His left arm was completely gone. Kato mocked him, asking why he didn't just die quietly. Kato wondered if Jean still deluded himself into thinking he could turn the fight around. Jean lamented his mistake. He should have used all the holy water at once instead of holding back. The Dragon Emperor's finger suddenly appeared, a beacon of power. Wind blew from behind as the monster charged straight at Jean. Kato declared this the end, reminding Jean that he was alone against the entire church. Jean pulled a scroll from his system, the air crackling with anticipation. The scroll bore the mark of a demon king's favor, and chains of strange characters bound its power. He cried out to the Pope, begging for rescue. A hand emerged from nothingness, seizing the monster in an oblivion's grasp. Another demon appeared and greeted Jean, saying it had been a long time. The demon laughed, saying Jean looked just as pathetic as when it first failed to descend into this universe, and claimed it would never forget his kindness. As a reward, the demon offered to lend Jean its power, enough to destroy the evil villains, and asked what the transmigrator thought. Jean simply replied that they were even. The demon clicked its tongue, called Jean heartless, and gave a warning that it had already seen his death, then chuckled. With a swirling vortex, the demon vanished. Panting heavily, the slime mold checked its status: health at 218 out of 2865, 981, man at 0, and a warning that the man alone was still draining its health. Jean asked if the summoning of the Hope coordinates had succeeded and requested a connection to the other system for a conversation. The system replied with connection failures, stating that the transmigrator systems were not interconnected. Back with the slime mold, the system announced that decomposition had failed because the target was not organic, and the slime mold exclaimed that it had indeed turned to stone. The slime mold told the uncle that if he didn't want the equipment it would take it, and thanked him. The slime mold reasoned that if it helped humans when they were in trouble, it might secure a ride back to human settlements. The slime mold spotted an ice wall, recognized it as the work of that mage, and concluded they must be nearby. Chuckling, the slime mold thought the mage might have already killed the snake bird, allowing it to scavenge the leftovers, then activated its search ability. But prioritizing safety, the slime mold decided to observe first. The slime mold spread itself across the ice wall to peek inside. Cole had been defeated and devoured by the bird. The bird sensed someone watching and spun around to face the slime mold. The slime mold panicked, exclaiming that the bird had killed another and was growing stronger, and worrying about the remaining girl, it quickly fled. The scene shifted to Nia, as an old dove straight towards her. Nia declared that Little Mio was no longer with them and commanded Little Steelback to counterattack. Little Steelback unleashed a spiny back attack, launching sharp spines at the owl. The owl countered with its iron beak gale. The owl spun its multiple heads, slicing through everything around. Nia cries out for help, wondering why her little owl has become like this. She tells Little Steelback not to be afraid as she transfers her magic power to heal him. The demonized owl prepares to lunge at Nia, but she looks up at a glowing light. Nia uses a mind control skill to stop the owl in its tracks. Thankful that the pet contract still works, she enters the owl's spiritual world and notices something in the distance. She spots a figure and wonders what it is. She sees Little Mio and an angel lord and questions why a noble angel would be inside her pet's spirit world. The angel lord calls out to her, telling her to come over. The angel's face suddenly twists into a monster's visage as it commands her again. Nia screams in terror, begging for help as she is attacked. The owl continues its assault, and explosion rocks the area. From behind, the slime mold swings a tree club and strikes the owl's head, blocking its attack. The slime mold follows up with repeated blows from the club. Nia recognizes the weapon as Captain Hawk's and notes its power level. The slime mold lets out a small squeak. The slime mold boasts about its mastery over cytoplasm, claiming it's more flexible than using hands. It compares stones to bullets and the club to a cannon. Nia thanks the slime mold for saving them. As Nia lifts the slime mold, she says she feels a familiar presence and thinks she knows who it is. Convinced it's Captain Hawk possessing the monster to rescue her, Nia tearfully declares this, but the slime mold denies it inaudibly. The owl suddenly regains consciousness. Nia transfers magic power to Little Steelback, asking if he can still fight, while the slime mold extends its mycelium into the ground. The slime mold taunts the owl and dodges as it attacks the patches. The slime mold appears behind the owl and strikes. The owl grows increasingly frustrated. It turns to attack the slime mold behind it. Seizing the chance, the slime mold headbutts the owl. As the owl is knocked into the air, the slime mold swings its club at it. The battle continues between the slime mold and the demonized owl. The slime mold throws the club straight through the owl's body, leaving a gaping hole. Realizing it used too much force, the slime mold mutters and pulls back. Nia feels sorrow for a demonized owl. She remembers the slime mold as the little monster from the campfire and the one she saw through the owl's vision. She notes that it has been following her and wonders if it has special feelings, suggesting high compatibility. She lifts the slime mold and asks if it would sign a pet contract with her. She repeats the offer, promising to raise it well, but a warning appears. The system warns that signing a servant contract will permanently revoke its access, forcing the slime mold to choose between the system and a master. The slime mold decides that even a system can't beat the classic appeal of a hot-blooded adventure with a master, and he imagines the two of them training and growing stronger together. He launches into battle using moves like plasmoid barrage and cytoplasmic cannon, attacking with lightning speed. In his fantasy, they become champions and pet mastering becomes the hottest career, with interviewers asking the strongest rookie and adventurer idol for their secret. He imagines evolving into a humanoid form. He pictures a bond so deep it leads to marriage. The slime mold declares that system stories are played out, so he definitely picks the cute master, and chuckles as he already has the next 100 episodes planned out. Back in reality, he's about to agree when something unexpected happens. But then he sees Nia has been killed, caught off guard, and he starts to say he's willing, but it's too late. A green eye glares menacingly. The owl creature awakens and unleashes an abyssal magic circle of winds demise. The owl's body distorts and begins to change into a different form. The little pig angrily charges at the owl. The slime mold exclaims that the head he smashed is regrowing, and warns Pig Bro not to act rashly. As the little pig rushes in, the owl points a finger and casts an abyssal magic degeneration ray. The beam strikes the pig, shrinking it into a tiny creature that scurries away. The slime mold is shocked by the degeneration magic and realizes this owl isn't the one he fought before. The owl revives and complains about how much resources were wasted, calling the previous owner useless. Merlin, one of the church's 7 holy knights, scoffs that the old man should have listened to him earlier instead of making him clean up the mess. Merlin notes the ceiling barrier is down, but he vows not to let Jean get away. Merlin conjures Tempest Wing and takes flight. The slime mold realizes a human transferred their consciousness into the owl's corpse, and he feels ignored because of his weakness, just like when he first arrived. He struggles with his thoughts. She killed Nia, even if the contract wasn't final. Should he be grateful to be alive? No, he refuses to live on while his friend is dead. He resolves to take revenge no matter what. He attacks, vowing that even if he can't kill her, he'll at least hit her with a blast of cytoplasm. The scene shifts to Jane. His system reports that his mana loan is repaid, but his health is critically low and his left arm is severely damaged, needing immediate treatment. Jean tells the system not to state the obvious, that he has nothing left, and orders it to keep contacting the reincarnator summoned by the Hope coordinates. A voice tells him he is saved. The system explains that long-distance communication isn't possible until first connection, but it can send similar signals, and confirms that Jean is heading in the right direction. Jin knows the church will send more enforcers, so he must find the new reincarnator and evacuate before they come. The slime mold uses his search ability and detects a figure, then charges to attack. He recognizes the long neck and swings his weapon, yelling, "I remember you." With a loud crash, the slime mold smashes his weapon onto the figure's head. He hesitates, noticing the armor seems different than expected. He realizes the long neck was just a tassel on the helmet. He stammers an apology, blaming the poor lighting and complaining about the flashy helmet, and asks if the person is still alive. Suddenly Jean grabs hold of the slime mold. Jean recognizes the weapon and smells blood on the slime. He accuses the slime of killing his guildmate and a church dog and vows to destroy him. The slime struggles. As the slime struggles, both their systems chime with a successful connection. Jean is shocked to see the system interface and asks if the slime is also a reincarnator. The slime mold is equally stunned, realizing he's not the only reincarnator in this world. Jean explained that he had activated the treasure hope coordinate to summon the slime mold to fight the evil church. The slime mold realized that all the humans he had met were Jean's guild members and lamented that he couldn't even save a girl named Nia. Jean reassured the slime mold that he had also started weak as a reincarnator, growing stronger by following system tasks, but the slime mold complained that he was just a single-celled organism. Jean confessed that he too was not human, which was why he always wore armor, and the slime mold asked what he was. Jin revealed that he was a goblin, a race despised by humans. The slime mold made a crude description of goblins as greedy, aggressive, and ugly, then said he would rather be a cute slime. Jin agreed that his goblin appearance caused him trouble in human society. The slime mold exclaimed that Jin looked handsome in his true form and complained about the unfairness. Jin said he didn't find it handsome and that being exposed as a goblin would get him exiled, while the slime mold's small form was more convenient. The slime mold still protested the disparity. Jin explained his guild's purpose and warned that the church had sent Merlin, the cruelest of the 7 holy knights, then urged the slime mold to stand up as they needed to act quickly. Jin announced he would synchronize all his magic and battle skills to the slime mold, and the system began connecting. The system connection succeeded and data transfer started at 1%. The slime mold was thrilled at the possibility of instantly gaining power. Jin recounted how he had suspected the Pope but fell into a trap, burning all his resources in a battle that revealed the church's true intentions. He said the road ahead would be harder and he needed the slime mold to fight alongside him. As the skill transfer reached 2%, the slime mold asked what the church and Pope had done to make Jin hate them so much. Jin revealed that the church already ruled the world and wanted to sacrifice all life to open a channel for the elite to ascend to a higher universe. The slime mold was astonished at the villain's ambitions and asked how they would sacrifice everyone. Jin began his backstory, explaining that he was reborn as a goblin cub in a dark mine, surviving by eating insects and scraps and even human remains. At age 5 his system awakened, and he used his new power to end the mine's atrocities, rescuing female warriors who had been kept as breeding machines. He helped the warriors resettle but noted they had developed nymphomania from their captivity. He used his racial skill Joy to treat them, and the slime mold agreed that his soul remained human. The slime mold was curious about the skill, and Jin explained that it involved intercourse with different classes, boosting his stats each time. Jin elaborated that with a female warrior, he increased his health, and with a female mage his magic and elemental affinity along with experience points. Using Joy he built a solid hybrid foundation and started families, then decided to go to the royal capital for a better life. The slime mold felt Jin was showing off. Jin said that going to the capital was his worst mistake, leading to the loss of his wives and children. Suddenly Merlin appeared, interrupting the transfer at 12%. A fierce gust of wind sent shockwaves through the area. Merlin unleashed an abyss magic called Wind's Demise Cone. Merlin mocked Jin for being a goblin and expressed a desire to dissect him, but said the Pope ordered his death. Merlin asked how Jin had killed the immortal chimera Kadoyelawa. Jin's system warned that his symbiotic armor was destroyed and suggested retreat, but Jin told it to be quiet. Merlin asked if Jin was talking to the invisible system and said he wanted to take Jin's body to inherit it. Jin called Merlin a devil and a church dog for his inhumane experiments. Merlin retorted by questioning Jin's understanding of humanity and the value of life from a higher dimensional perspective. The slime mold fired a bullet that Merlin caught effortlessly. Merlin mocked Jin for relying on such a low-level monster, then used a gaze skill that paralyzed the slime mold, making him feel completely exposed. Merlin was momentarily distracted but said the slime mold couldn't escape. Jen used a skill called Weak Point Break, saying he had no intention of running. Merlin cast an Abyss Magic Geometric Inferno, trapping Jin inside a cube. The slime mold asked if that was it, and Merlin said close combat was his weakness, but he wouldn't give Jin a chance. Jin declared that Weak Point Break worked on magic too. Jin reached out from inside the cube and grabbed Merlin's head. Jin vowed that even if he died he would take Merlin with him. Gain's system notified him that his health was down to 1 out of nearly 3 million and activated the last stand state, keeping him at 1 health for a minute no matter what. He then unleashed the skill Final Accord. Merlin screamed in panic, recognizing the spell and demanding Jin let go, knowing the terrible price. Gain's system warned that Final Accord would override the last stand, completely zeroing his life and erasing his body and soul. But Jin didn't care and he pressed on with the Final Accord. Merlin's life force was being drained away. Through the system, Jane apologized for their brief meeting and explained this was his only option. He entrusted the task of saving the world to the slime mold, warning him never to trust the church. The slime mold was shocked, pleading with Jin not to die, wondering how a weak slime could possibly save the world. Jane urged him to believe in himself, saying maybe his own summoning was meant to bring the slime mold to this world. Moments later Jin and Merlin both vanished. The slime mold gasped, calling out to Jin. Unexpectedly Merlin was still alive, though barely, and cursed Jin for the heavy losses. Merlin lamented that 5 of his precious life candles, meant for connecting to the chaotic universe and ascending, had been extinguished, and he was forced to inhabit a low-level demon's corpse. The slime mold spat acid at Merlin, declaring he would carry on Jane's will and avenge both him and the girl from before. The slime mold left a clone as a contingency, and Merlin exclaimed in surprise, realizing it was the contracted monster Jane had left behind. Merlin turned his fury toward the slime mold, vowing to make it pay for Jean's actions. Merlin cast a deep magic spell called Atavistic Ray, hitting the slime mold. The slime mold stood confused, feeling no effect. Merlin was frustrated, wondering if his magic was weakened by the damage to his soul. Enraged, Merlin declared that he, the kingdom's strongest mage, would not be beaten by a mere weak monster. The slime mold noted that Merlin was already half dead from Gain's attack and decided to use his unknown abilities to catch her off guard, activating Search. Suddenly a bird monster appeared and attacked Merlin. Merlin was blasted into a rock, severely wounded. Merlin cursed, swearing that if he could return to the church and recover, he would come back and burn the swamp forest to ashes. The bird gathered flames in its mouth, ready to strike. It unleashed a high-level spell, pseudo-dragon breath, spewing flames toward Merlin. The bird let out a questioning sound as Merlin was burned to a crisp, then the creature devoured him whole. Time passed. The bird began to evolve. After consuming Merlin, the bird transformed into a far more powerful creature. The creature evolved from a snake heron into a feathered snake dragon. The newly evolved dragon took to the skies and flew away. The slime mold stood in shock, unable to process everything that had just happened. The system informed him that the connection to Jane's system was lost, so only 37% of the skills could be transferred. Many skills like super mana and elemental resistance failed because he lacked mana, and dimensional enhancement failed due to body incompatibility. He moved to Jane's corpse and began absorbing skills, successfully gaining forging, medical knowledge, cooking, 71% of general knowledge, and 83% of the land bestiary. Despite all he had gained, the slime mold felt no joy. He suddenly wished he could go back to being a simple, carefree slime. He then searched for the remaining pieces of Gain's armor. Shaking off his despair, he resolved to carry on Jane's mission. If the church succeeded in sacrificing all life, no one would escape. Even without a proper body, he thought he could still control the armor, though his movements were shaky. He tried to steady himself but lost his balance and fell. It was difficult to focus on one part but then neglect another, unable to coordinate everything at once. Deciding it was safer to hide, he stored the armor away, uncertain whether the church would send more agents. The system identified the armors forged from power stone, able to absorb most physical damage, and crafted by Jean himself. He found himself in a dense forest. The forest was thick and mysterious, tall trees all around. Feeling overwhelmed, the slime mold decided to process the influx of information. The system loaded the knowledge encyclopedia and land bestiary, currently at 58%. Knowledge flooded into his mind, revealing the map of this world, the Ghost Valley Mountains, polar ice fields, wasteland mines, and the royal capital. He realized the world was vast. His current location was the swamp forest. The royal capital maintained teleport gates across the land, managed by the church. Adventurers could request permission to travel to different locations, but adventurers had to surrender half their findings to the church's tariff. The slime mold mused that if he found a gate, he could head straight to the capital. The path was set, but he needed to grow stronger before heading to the capital. His only assets were the damaged high-grade armor, and there was also the corpse of the girl named Naya. Should he decompose it? Keeping the corpse wouldn't bring her back. It would be better to let it decompose than to let it rot away. He began to decompose Naya's body. In his imagination, she whispered a farewell. From then on, he vowed to put an end to the evil church, even if he had to do it alone as a single slime. He received a system notification. Experience had reached the threshold, and he leveled from 49 to 50, gaining skill points and a new skill, domination. Combined with his own traits, it evolved into parasitic domination. A frog croaked on a lake. The slime mold tested his new skill, firing a plasmoid barrage, but the frog's danger sense allowed it to dodge. The frog looked confused, but then a flurry of projectiles shot toward it. Explosions rang out as the projectiles struck. The system announced the frog was defeated and experience gained. The slime mold apologized, saying he needed to test his new skill. The skill description explained that he could invade a corpse with his slime, turning it into a puppet under his control. Since syncing with Gain's system, the explanations had become much clearer. He spat a bit of his slime into the frog's mouth. Activating the skill, he initiated the parasitism process. The slime spread within the frog, covering 88% of its body. The frog suddenly sprang to life, croaking. The slime mold was astonished. Was it alive again? The system confirmed success. He now had a swamp frog puppet, but it was at the current limit. He realized that successful parasitism animated the corpse. Next came Dominion. He concentrated, trying to shift his awareness into the slime inside the frog. He took control of the frog, now seeing through its eyes. His consciousness had truly transferred into the corpse. The system displayed the puppet stats: puppet swamp frog, durability 89% with skills charge, strike, tongue, fist, and pounce. He was amazed at the species info but wondered about durability. Then he realized that since it's a corpse, it didn't have HP. The vision was so wide. This was the world through a swamp frog's eyes. It felt amazing. Having invaded all the nerves, he even inherited muscle memory, so the body felt like his own with no need to readapt. But when his consciousness entered the puppet, his original body went into auto mode. That seemed risky. In battle, he'd need to hide properly first. Forget it, he was going to test drive this new body. Excited, he tried to make the frog catch a fly using tongue fist. He kept trying to control the frog to catch a fly. He commanded the frog to pounce on a small snail, shouting for it not to run. The system warned that the signal was weak and the connection was lost. Before he could catch the snail, the connection to the frog was severed. He estimated the distance to be about 30 meters. so he couldn't control the parasitic puppet too far from his original body. The snail moved away. Suddenly the frog jumped up, and he called out in surprise. Was it revived? Noah was automatically hopping around wildly. Then he understood. He explained there were two modes: active dominion and auto mode. His original body was like a signal tower. When actively controlling too far away meant signal loss. Near the original body the puppet would trigger auto mode and act on its living instincts. But the auto mode didn't seem very smart. He decided to recall the puppet. The system noted one swamp frog puppet. So if he defeated a strong enemy, could he parasitize its corpse too? If he could parasitize high-level monsters, he could build a powerful army to fight the evil church. He chuckled and continued looking for suitable targets. The scene shifted. The slime mold was now fighting some creature. He took sunny damage from a water jet. He demanded who dared ambush him, then shouted, "Here I come, and are you ready?" He saw a water-spitting crab. Perfect material delivered itself. He was surprised to realize it wasn't a crab but a pufferfish. He exclaimed that everyone treated him like a meal. He'd showed him the power of a level 50 low-level monster lord with confidence from his level. The pufferfish inflated and used water gun, shooting a jet of water at him. He dodged the pufferfish's projectiles. He fired back with plasmodial barrage, shooting projectiles at the pufferfish. The projectiles hit the water, causing a huge splash. He wasn't about to let it escape after attacking. He used Morph Net, transforming his body into a large net to catch the pufferfish. The system announced defeat, granting experience points. He was amazed at how much he got. The pufferfish dissolved. He obtained a new puppet corpse. Puppet pufferfish durability 99%, skills water gun, steel bite, and inflation. The scene changed. The slime mold was on a tree observing a crab feeding below. He suddenly pounced on the crab. He wrapped the crab in his slime. As the crab tried to shake him off, he drilled into the gaps in its shell. He successfully parasitized the crab. The system granted experience points for defeating the target, and Dominion activated. He now had a swamp crab puppet. Its stats showed durability 99%, skills water gun, foam, and pinch. The scene shifted to a swarm of bees using a skill called Swarm Summon. Controlling the frog, the slime mold charged at the bees, boasting, "Watch my power, croak." The frog used empowered tongue, whipping its tongue around and striking the bees with a series of loud smacks. The bees got stuck to the frog's tongue, and the frog swallowed them all in one gulp, earning experience points. A golden vortex swirled as energy converged. The magical bees used their stingers to create a ball of fire. The slime mold realized a honey bomb was coming and that the swamp frog alone wouldn't cut it, so he switched consciousness. He shifted control to the crab. The crab fired a water gun, a stream of water shooting toward the bees with a poof sound. The two forces collided in a massive explosion, but the system warned that the crab puppet had run out of water and could no longer use water gun. The crab's water was completely depleted and the slime mold gasped. But the bees' attacks were overwhelming, buzzing fiercely. A fiery explosion scorched both the crab and frog puppets, leaving them charred, as the slime mold sighed. Just as the bees thought they had won, another attack struck them from behind. The slime mold cheered for a successful ambush, having controlled a pufferfish for the surprise attack. He performed another consciousness shift. The slime mold remarked that parasitic puppets were replaceable and the loss didn't bother him. The bees erected a triple beeswax barrier, but the slime mold charged straight into the swarm. Pushing through, he used his plasmatic cannon, declaring that he was just testing team combat. The slime mold approached the beehive using his slimy secretions. He used his search skill to locate the hidden queen bee. He grabbed the queen bee and moved into attack, while she squeaked in distress. Surrounding the queen, the slime mold mused that if the plan worked, his first army would be complete. He imagined controlling the queen and the entire swarm, envisioning his victory. The system announced successful parasitism, and the new puppet was the wasp queen with 99% durability and the hive mind skill. Using the queen, the slime mold called out for the children to arise. But there was no response, leaving him puzzled. He realized that once the queen dies, the whole colony perishes, so parasitizing the queen was pointless. He decided to pick a more useful puppet instead. The slime mold switched to parasitizing the strongest wasp, obtaining a wasp mage puppet. Its stats showed 99% durability and skills like gather honey, spark magic, and levitate. Night fell at the slime mold's heady out, and the slime mold squad was formed. Assemble. He named the frog Frogje, and it croaked in response. He named the crab Sook, noting its larger claws, and it clicked. He named the pufferfish Poco, and it bubbled and splashed. He asked about Master Bee, but it was gone. "I clearly released it just now," he said. "How could it be?" The frog had instinctively caught and eaten the bee. The slime mold declared the first rule of the slime mold squad: never eat teammates. The bee puppet's durability dropped to 70%, buzzing weakly, and the slime mold reassured it. The slime mold noted that the combat squad now had a solid structure. He imagined his army, a tank leading the front, a shooter would provide ranged support, a mage was ready to cast spells, and an assassin lurked in the shadows. He declared himself the supreme commander and strongest support, facing the feathered serpent dragon, the stage boss. In his mind, the team clashed with the feathered serpent in a fierce battle. The feathered serpent used a stomp attack against the bee master. The slime mold ordered crab to use shell defense. The crab blocked the dragon's attack, but its shell defense was depleted and health began to drop. He reassured them and used cytoplasmic injection to heal the crab. Seizing the chance, he commanded the mage and shooter to attack with full force. The bee mage and pufferfish shooter unleashed their skills, striking the dragon. The slime mold noted the dragon's thick fur and that the bee master and pufferfish could only hold it temporarily, so he sent in the frog assassin. The frog assassin leaped and hit the dragon's eye, dealing massive damage with assassination art and weakening it. With a sound, the slime mold dismissed the flattery and urged the team to finish the dragon off. The team ganged up on the feathered serpent, overwhelming it. The feathered serpent was completely defeated, and the slime mold's army claimed victory. Without delay, the slime mold jumped down from above. He declared the beginning of his cultivation training. A level 9 bouncy mouse appeared carrying something in its mouth. Suddenly, a cat caught the mouse with an empowered tongue attack. The level 1 mimic stone cat devoured the mouse. Startled, the cat looked up and meowed in surprise. A level 35 swamp giant mosquito attacked and killed the cat instantly. The mosquito proceeded to suck the cat's blood. A gasp was heard. With a boom, the mosquito finished draining the cat completely. After feeding, the mosquito laid eggs on the lake surface. Fish below rushed to eat the falling eggs. Suddenly, an electric discharge killed the fish and mosquito in the water. A level 44 electric catfish emerged, feeding on the electrocuted remains. The electric catfish began to glow, preparing to evolve. The slime mold watched from above, shocked at yet another evolution after the serpent bird. The catfish evolved into a level 52 thunder catfish, displaying its new ability, Thunder Flash. The scene returned to a serene forest pond with lily pads. The slime mold marveled at the evolution, wondering if monsters were evolving more frequently. The system began loading the world background for the knowledge encyclopedia. The system revealed that the swamp forest was in class danger zone where evolution was common, and life ranks ranged from weak to king level. It recounted a past battle where the regional king mobilized all monsters to siege a target, resulting in total defeat and ecosystem damage. Now in recovery, the land accumulated magic to restore the ecosystem, allowing monsters to evolve again. Surviving medium monsters became the biggest beneficiaries of the magic surplus, gaining priority in evolution. The system noted that evolution wasn't just about starting point, luck could let low-level monsters rise, and the food chain was about to be completely reshuffled for a new king. The knowledge encyclopedia was complete, and the slime mold understood. He found Gon's database useful but wondered if his parasitized puppets could evolve. He also questioned why the electric catfish, only one level below him, seemed so much stronger. The system explained that level wasn't absolute, species traits and skills mattered, and there was no data on puppet evolution. Sensing an electric current in the water, the slime mold decided to check out the commotion. Rushing toward the glowing electric current, the slime mold was startled by what he saw. A thunderous boom echoed as an electric catfish and a swamp crocodile clashed in a violent fight. The crocodile, a level 60 swamp croc, had clamped its jaws onto the catfish's body. With a powerful bite, the crocodile severed the electric catfish in two. Both creatures lay dead, and the slime mold couldn't believe his luck delivered right to his doorstep. But one was rotten and the other charred. Parasitizing them was out of the question. He complained about the residual electricity still crackling all around. He consumed 1 in 15 portions of honey to prepare for what came next. A system notification: nutrition overload, boosting his HP to 50,000 for 1 hour, though his current AP was only 3,989. He immediately began decomposing both the catfish and the crocodile. Experience points poured in continuously, and he even gained lightning resistance. It felt great as he leveled up from 50 to 51. He decided to make the most of the time and feast heartily. Growing gigantic, he rolled across the forest, blasting through everything and watching his experience skyrocket. He noticed a vast mangrove forest ahead, much more lush than the area he was in. Curious, he decided to go check it out. Rolling into the water, he was immediately swarmed by a school of level 19 piranhas, all biting and tearing at him. The system warned that his HP loss had already exceeded 1,000 from the relentless attacks. Annoyed, he fought back, killing and decomposing the fish to restore health and gain experience. But he quickly realized it was inefficient. Decomposing a fish gave only 80 HP while each attack cost him 100. The damage kept piling up with cumulative losses surpassing 3,000 and then 5,000. He panicked, realizing that in the water his movements were slow and he couldn't react fast enough. These low-level monsters were draining him faster than he could recover. The system chimed in, explaining that level differences don't fully account for species and group dangers, and that his giant size from nutrition overload made him a bigger target. He snapped at the system, saying now wasn't the time for lectures when he was about to die. Mustering his strength, he unleashed a plasmodial barrage costing 20,000 AP and leaped onto the shore to escape. He asked the system if he could use more honey to reactivate nutrition overload. The system said yes, but the timer wouldn't reset, only 19 minutes remained. He continued rolling through the forest, steadily gaining experience from decomposition. The terrain was stable, but the plants grew incredibly fast. He marveled at the earth's magic nourishing everything. He mused that overthrowing the church might not be so hard. Unlike dragons or monsters, his strength lay in stacking abilities. He had passed the toughest early stage, and now was just mechanical grinding from level to infinite decomposition, absorption, and evolution. He vowed that if he decomposed and absorbed day and night, in about a month he would besiege the entire church. But when he asked about something, the system refused, saying it wasn't allowed. He questioned why, as data loaded. The system explained that experience from low-level monsters decreases with level difference, using a formula. He realized that the constant level-ups were misleading because each kill gave less XP than before. He demanded the system show exact numbers, but it declined, saying it required too much computing power. Also, nutrition overload had ended and the next activation would cost 5 times more. He complained that the system's AI customer service tone was annoying, even though it had become smarter after the update. Then nutrition overload expired. He told the system to back off and it cheerfully agreed. He grumbled that his inventory was full again. He spat out a load of decomposed material. It was a pile of all the things he had decomposed earlier, now regurgitated. Finally the tide receded, revealing the beach. He wondered what wild game he could hunt here, as something stirred in the mud. He grimaced at the thick mud, saying he was already sticky enough without it. He noticed many holes in the mudflat. He called out to see if anything lived inside, only to get a face full of mud from one of the holes. Angered, he shouted a warning and then dove straight into the hole. Inside he found a mud skipper, but since they were on land he wasn't afraid of it. The mud skipper suddenly leaped up and let out a strange wailing sound. The sound wave reached him, and he was surprised that this creature could even make noise. More mud skippers emerged from other holes, apparently responding to the call. He decided to summon reinforcements, calling out a technique he remembered from comics. Using his summoning skill, he brought forth puppets to fight alongside him. He grinned, thrilled to finally use the cool abilities he had seen in comics. The mud skippers retaliated by shooting mud balls at his puppets. The mud stuck to a crab puppet, immobilizing it, but he knew his own body made of cytoplasm was immune to such attacks. He pushed his puppets to fight harder. The mud skippers crouched low, then suddenly snapped into action. They launched themselves into the air with powerful leaps. He asked mockingly if they were putting on a performance. Then he spotted what looked like a chainsaw fish among them. The mud skipper spun into saw-like forms and charged toward the crab. A system warning flashed, indicating his parasitic puppet's durability was dropping fast, down to 55%. He quickly injected cytoplasm into the crab puppet to serve as a blood pack, then transferred consciousness to another puppet. With his consciousness now in a different puppet, he altered its trajectory to assist. A snakehead fish he had summoned used a steel fang cut, slicing through the mud skippers and gaining experience. Meanwhile, the frog puppet was dodging incoming attacks from the mud skippers. The frog tried to strike with its tongue, but a mud skipper's sharp edge sliced it clean off. He realized the puppet's auto mode was too low and he needed to take direct control, but he was already overwhelmed. The frog powered up a tongue attack and then kicked a mud skipper away. He shifted his consciousness again, this time to the wizard bee. The bee created a triple beeswax barrier to block the mud skipper's assaults. He knew he had to find a way to limit their movements, and then an idea struck. The bee wizard used honey convergence. He created a honey ball to trap the mud skippers, but another group of mud skippers attacked the bee wizard. Seeing this, the slime mold commanded the snakehead fish to block them and used inflate. He then shifted his consciousness to the bee wizard and continued using honey convergence. The bee wizard wrapped the mud skippers in honey balls. The slime mold declared success, noting that honey's stickiness was perfect for restricting movement. He noted that honey's viscosity comes from its high sugar and low water content, even higher than his own cytoplasm. Then the bee wizard used the basic spell Spark Ember to burn the mud skippers. The slime mold dissolved the mud skippers, gaining experience from both kills and decomposition. He observed that the parasitic puppets kept their former personalities, noting that Frog G was a show-off. He detected a smell and wondered what it was. He realized what it was, and the system notified a new dish: honey grilled fish. The puppets wanted to eat too, which surprised him since they were already puppets. He invited them to a victory feast, describing how the honey grilled fish was delicious, and the system indicated that decomposing cooked food yields more experience. Suddenly more enemies appeared and he called for battle readiness. A mudskipper leader level 49 emerged with a roar. The slime mold recalled that the leader could remember friends and foes and command the group with sound waves. He compared it to the queen bee but noted this one could fight. He decided to repeat the same tactics and asked everyone if they were ready. He got angry when his puppets kept eating even with the enemy approaching. The mudskipper leader leaped and tried to gulp down the crab snakehead fish and bee wizard, but the slime mold managed to pull them to safety. He decided that wireless mode was unreliable and switched to a wired connection to strengthen the signal. By directly connecting to the puppets through his cytoplasm, he could instantly relay commands. It wasn't as precise as taking over directly, but it allowed for more coordinated attacks with greater numbers. He realized he was essentially using puppet art and thought it was cool. He ordered the attack, noticing that the leader ate its own soldier's corpse, driven by instinct and low intelligence. The frog puppet attacked from behind with empowered tongue, but the mudskipper leader detected it and knocked the frog away with its tail. Above, the bee wizard prepared a fireball with spark ember. The fireball dropped and caused a huge explosion. It seemed to be done, but the mudskipper leader used an earthen shield, surprising the slime mold with its intermediate grade magic. The slime mold noted that despite the leader's foolish appearance, its magic was higher than the bee wizard's. He decided to use a meat shield for a 3-for-1 trade and ordered the crab to charge. But the crab disobeyed and disconnected, choosing to keep eating the mudskippers. The system explained that in automatic mode, puppets act according to their own best interests. The slime mold realized the crab was prioritizing evolution through eating. Suddenly, the crab puppet molted and evolved into a mud crab king. The system described the mud crab king as a leader, level monster with an iron hard shell, capable of crushing iron shoes and with gold in its shell. The slime mold used consciousness shift to take control of the mud crab king, boosting that he now controlled a medium danger monster while the leader was only normal danger. He declared to prepare yourself. He drove the crab to charge at the mudskipper leader with a golden impact. The mudskipper leader broke off a scale and threw it like a boomerang, slicing the crab in half. The slime mold was stunned that his crab was one shot, wondering why. The system explained that after molting, the crab shell is soft for about 7 days, making it most vulnerable. The slime mold started imagining how to cook the crab, remembering a recipe that uses magical potato flour for batter. He imagined deep frying it for 3 minutes. After cooling, it would be ready to eat, but only golden mud crab kings are safe. Green or blue ones contain heavy metals. He drooled at the thought, then scolded himself for turning to cooking skills for answers. The fin boomerang returned to the mudskipper leader, who caught it. The mudskipper reattached its fin, ready to continue the fight. The mudskipper raised a hand, taunting the slime mold to come at it, looking stylish. The slime mold acknowledged the mudskipper's intelligence and declared it would get serious, expecting plenty of experience points. The slime mold controlled its slime to advance toward the mudskipper. The slime mold suddenly launched its club at the mud skipper, shouting, "Over here." The club grazed past the mud skipper. But the mud skipper's skin was only slightly scratched, as its slippery skin reduced physical damage by half to 3/4 and lessened fire damage. The slime mold realized its attacks were being deflected but figured it could wear the creature down slowly. The mud skipper used a skill to create an earthen shield, blocking the club with a mid-tier spell called Swampflow Art. The earthen mounds broke the slime mold's formation, severing the links. The slime mold cried, "My formation is broken." Above, the bee mage fired a fireball, but the mud skipper blocked it with its earthen shield. The mud skipper then used the earth to attack the bee mage. The slime mold directed the frog to pull the bee away from danger. The slime mold realized the entire mud pit was under the mud skipper's control. "It has home field advantage," it exclaimed. The slime mold admitted it had underestimated the mud skipper, which was far more powerful than other monsters of the same level. Gaining intelligence gave a massive combat boost. "You're clever," the mud skipper said, and flung its fin toward the slime mold. The slime mold called out, its little dolphin, as a snakehead fish leaped to block the mud skipper's attack. The system warned that the parasitic puppet's durability was dropping rapidly from 47% to 23%. Then it announced that the parasitic puppet had been destroyed. The slime mold was hit but thanked Little Dolphin for its sacrifice, which provided a buffer. The slime mold caught the mud skipper's fin without taking damage, shouted "Got it," and used the dissolution skill. The system confirmed the decomposition was successful and experience points were gained. The mud skipper felt a chill of fear when its fin didn't return, looking around in confusion. The mud skipper touched its head and realized the fin was gone, while the slime mold mocked it. The mud skipper became furious. The mud skipper finally spoke, raging, "Kill, kill.
I'll kill you, you bastard."
The slime mold was shocked that the mud skipper could speak. The system explained that intense emotion during battle could trigger intelligence evolution and language ability. Enraged, the mud skipper activated its mid-tier Swampflow Art again. The slime mold shrugged off the skill, claiming it had defeated even more powerful monsters and was ready for a final showdown. The slime mold spun its club, preparing to launch it. The slime mold launched the club at the mud skipper with an attack called Plasmatic Cannon. The mud skipper clasped its hands together like a hand seal from an anime, and a loud slap echoed. Then earthen walls rose to block the slime mold's incoming club. The club tore through several layers of earth but was finally stopped by the last wall. The slime mold was shocked that its club was completely blocked and worried it might lose its weapon. The system activated martial arts talent, allowing the slime mold to create its own technique. A move was now available. The slime mold was confused. Martial arts talent. Create moves. What does that mean? Deciding to just go for it, it released the move. With a boom, the slime mold fired another projectile that pierced through the earthen barriers. It was a water hammer strike. The club flew straight into the mud skipper's face. The mud skipper took a devastating hit and collapsed on the spot. The scene shifts to the royal capital, the Holy See. Pope Sanctus announced that Merlin's life candles had all gone out 3 days ago with no sign of relighting. It seemed Merlin had finally sacrificed himself. He stated that his world magic could no longer detect any trace of Gorn, so that threat was neutralized. He asked for the others' opinions. A hooded figure, Far, spoke up, noting that Merlin was cunning and must have prepared multiple contingency plans. While Gorn had been trapped in the swamp forest for over 2 years, it was hard to believe that Gorn could take Merlin down with him even in death. Far suspected that Gorn, as a Trill, have hidden cards, and offered to go and completely erase the swamp forest to eliminate any future threat. Pope Sanctus acknowledged Far's careful thinking but said the swamp forest's vitality was essential as a sacrifice and must be preserved. He assured them that his world magic never erred, and that Gorn was new more. Far expressed hope that was true but urged that the priority should be to replenish the 7 Holy Knights' strength, not letting Merlin's death delay the Ascension plan. Pope Sanctus agreed, saying that a suitable candidate had arrived and invited them forward. A young woman stepped forward and greeted the Pope and the Holy Knights. Dylan, the head of the Holy Song Guild and one of the 7 Holy Knights, remarked that she was Merlin's apprentice, indeed a suitable candidate, but her personality was nothing like Merlin's. Louisa, crying, begged the Pope and the Holy Knights for help. She pleaded, saying they had to save Master Merlin. She didn't know what to do without him. The Blue Hat Guild would be ruined. Vian, the head of the Eagle Eye Guild and another of the 7 Holy Knights, casually invited Louisa to join his guild if Blue Hat fell, though he added that only A rank and above need apply. Louisa thanked Vian but declined, saying she had promised her master to stay with Blue Hat forever. She then turned to the Pope, begging him to save her master, even offering to sacrifice herself to seek an angel's blessing. Pope Sanctus remarked on the touching bond between master and apprentice, and asked if she was truly willing to give herself to save Merlin. Louisa affirmed that she was willing, but the Pope gently explained that even angels were not all powerful, and Merlin's soul had already been completely annihilated with no hope of return. He then declared that from that day on Louisa would inherit both the Blue Hat Guild and the title of the 7 Holy Knights. Louisa cried out in despair, but Vian told her to stop crying and show gratitude, as many stronger people would kill for the title. Louisa composed herself, saying she would inherit her master's will, manage the guild, and serve the church wholeheartedly. Then, in a flashback, Louisa remembered a time when she had asked her master why he had activated the tracking magic urgently, asking if something was wrong. Merlin's voice replied, cursing Gorn and revealing that he had copied his soul fragments into all his disciples. Louisa had the highest compatibility, and he intended to possess her body to be reborn. He called her over, asking for her hand. But Louisa refused, saying that as long as she didn't touch him, the magic spell he had engraved on her heart couldn't be triggered. She had secretly read his black magic book. Merlin panicked, accusing her of defying him, and begged her to save him, offering to teach her everything. Louisa said she would help him now. She pulled out a dusty book, And then, in a twisted tone, she said she would help him by killing him, so that everything would become hers. The scene then shifted back to the slime mold's battle. The mudskipper suddenly opened its eyes and woke up. It muttered in frustration that its trick hadn't worked. The slime mold urged his frogmount to go faster, reasoning that since the system hadn't logged any kill experience, the mudskipper was either unconscious or playing dead. Either way, safety first, so they should keep running. The mudskipper gave chase. The slime mold screamed that it was catching up. He directed the frog to turn into a different area, not to compete with speed on the open mudflat. The slime mold ducked into a swamp forest. The mudskipper arrived and began searching for him in the forest. The slime mold thought to himself that his water hammer attack required stretching his body to a certain distance, and the mudskipper's intelligence meant it wouldn't fall for the same trick. The mudskipper's mud control magic was troublesome, and with home field advantage it would be risky. Though he wanted its body, it wasn't worth the danger. The mudskipper taunted, calling the slime mold a little yellow bastard and saying it couldn't hide forever. The mudskipper unleashed a mid-level spell, Swampflow Art, with the widest area range. The slime mold was shocked that the spell could also be used for mapping. As a stream of mud began to surround his frog, the mudskipper shouted "over here," and pounced. The slime mold cried out in frustration as mud began to envelop both him and the frog. The slime mold shot a glob of slime at the bee above and pulled himself up. The bee used a levitation spell to help haul him higher, while the slime mold cheered on the frog. But his grip slipped, and he couldn't lift the frog out of the mud. A system prompt appeared explaining that in automatic mode, parasitic puppets always choose the optimal action for their host. The mudskipper declared that he wouldn't let the slime mold escape. He focused his energy and unleashed a mid-tier spell, the Swampflow Art. Using the mud, he propelled himself upward to snatch the slime mold. The slime mold shouted, "You again, just die," and launched an attack. He activated his cytoplasmic machine gun, firing a barrage of slime bullets. The mudskipper raised a wall of earth to block the incoming shots. He asked if it was over. With a shout of "Take this back," he sent the bullets ricocheting back at the slime mold. The bee was gravely wounded from the fight. Using its last strength, the bee tossed the slime mold to safety. The slime mold cried out, "Master Bee," deeply moved by the bee mage's sacrifice. Then the mudskipper lunged forward and swallowed the bee mage whole. The slime mold reflected that even though his companions were just disposable puppets, he had grown attached to them and vowed to remember them forever. He expanded his body surface area to glide, noting that the muddy terrain had given way to something else. He landed on a patch of bare ground, hoping he was finally safe. But as soon as he touched the ground, he began losing health in chunks of 200 points. Startled, he leaped into a nearby bush, complaining about the sudden damage. The system notified him that he had landed in a highly saline alkali flat, causing osmotic imbalance, and that his previous adaptation was only for high moisture environments. He asked how he was supposed to leave this deadly place. He saw that the clumps of grass were spaced too far apart for a single leap. The mudskipper appeared again, and the slime mold tried to reason with him, but the mudskipper was enraged because his hair had been ruined. The mudskipper swore to hunt the slime mold to the ends of the earth, claiming his rage made his magic more potent. But the mudskipper was also being burned by the salty ground beneath his feet. He let out a pained yelp and jumped. The slime mold yelled in frustration. Then suddenly the mudskipper appeared on the grass clump while the slime mold found himself on the ground, losing health. His health dropped and then increased from using honey, but the honey ran out and the system warned him to leave the alkaline land. The mudskipper had used a substitution spell to swap their positions, laughing as he watched the slime mold suffer. The slime mold realized he couldn't make it to the next patch of grass in time. Desperate, he frantically searched his inventory for anything that could save him. He found something and pulled out a pair of iron legs called feather flip. With a loud crash, he brought out the iron stilts. The mudskipper stared in surprise. The slime mold found that the iron stilts completely insulated him from the harmful ground. He wobbled awkwardly, not yet used to walking on stilts. "I'm gonna fall, steady," he cried as he fought to keep his balance. After a moment he felt more confident. He mused that controlling the iron legs was like walking on stilts, and once you found the rhythm, it wasn't so difficult. With a laugh he said he'd be on his way. The mudskipper snarled and tried to use Swampflow Art again, but the dry land had no mud to control. The slime mold laughed, taunting that the mudskipper's magic was useless here. The mudskipper fumed, swearing he would never let the slime mold go. After walking for a while, the slime mold noticed something glittering in the distance. It was a teleportation portal. Slime mold was stunned to see a teleportation portal. But there was a highly concentrated salt lake in between, and falling in would instantly dehydrate him. Plus he wasn't strong enough yet to venture into the human world. He returned to his home in the rain. His system panel showed he was a level 51 slime mold with health 3989, skills like decomposition, pulse, poison resistance, cytoplasmic jet, parasitic domination, and lightning resistance, and 0-3 skill points remaining. He explained that parasitic domination cost 2 points per level, so at level 7 he could control 7 puppets, but a mudskipper had wiped out his entire collection, forcing him to start from scratch. As the environment recovered, monsters grew stronger, offering more experience but also more danger. He reminded himself to stay low and slowly build strength. He realized it was raining hard and he had forgotten to close the door. Suddenly he discovered the mudskipper had found his home, shouting, "Found you, you little yellow bastard." The mudskipper lunged at him. Panicked, he retreated into his base. "Don't come any closer," he yelled. He woke up, realizing it was just a nightmare. That mudskipper had really traumatized him. In the morning he created some clones and ordered them to capture decomposable ingredients nearby. He commanded. He set a new goal: reach level 60. The system said at 60 he could undergo a class change or evolution. Suddenly a tongue shot out from nowhere and hit him. It turned out to be the tongue of a gecko, a low-level monster that didn't know who was the hunter. His decomposition skill dissolved the gecko's tongue. The gecko used its camouflage skill to hide. He used his search skill and taunted to camouflage is useful, but your opponent is me. You, he exclaimed. He used parasitic domination on the gecko, gaining a new puppet swamp chameleon with 87% durability and skills like fist tong, whip tong, and camouflage. His clones returned with a lot of food. So much well done, he praised. Because of the level gap, direct decomposition gave too little experience. He needed to develop more efficient skills. The system introduced cooking processed ingredients, increased experience gain, and could trigger extra effects. He asked the system to scan the ingredients for possible recipes. The system listed several dishes including aromatic deluxe platter and grilled fish, but all required fire, which he lacked. None of them work. Is there anything I can make without fire? He wondered. He spotted one. The system showed plain salad washed ingredients, restoring 50 to 300 health points with no special effects. What's the point of that? He complained. Fire wasn't a problem. He could find a bee master, but he had eaten all nearby beehives. Then he recalled another monster with fire magic. Bang, the scene shifted to a squirrel eating chestnuts. Slime mold struck the squirrel on the head. This creature's fire is way more powerful than the bee master's, he noted. He used parasitic domination on the fire squirrel, gaining a puppet with 76% durability and skills like fireball, agile movement, and self-destruct. Come on, little squirrel, heat up that stone slab for me, he ordered. The squirrel used fireball to create a flame under the slab for cooking. The fire lit up. He crafted a spatula by partially decomposing wood and remarked on the profundity of Chinese cuisine. 2 hours later, he sprinkled salt collected from the saline land onto the dish. While it's done, he exclaimed. His meal was ready. He said, "You're welcome," and savored his dish. Using his dissolution skill, he broke down the food, gaining a huge amount of experience and a 20-minute cold resistance effect. He marveled at the rich flavor, feeling countless particles dancing inside him. The ingredients weren't just added together, their lives weren't ending but transforming into something new. He reflected that their deaths allowed the flavor to be reborn, to return with greater value. When they came together, they were no longer ordinary plants and animals but eternal starlight in this dish. That, he thought, was the true meaning of cooking. He reached level 52, gaining more health, but his parasitic endurance dropped. Still, he said the strong flavor was worth it since the experience gain far exceeded direct decomposition. 2 weeks later, he had mapped the area, including an alkaline desert, a portal, and an unexplored region with tides that turned mangrove forests into mudflats. After thorough exploration, his mycelium now covered the entire area, making it his territory. His status showed he was a level 54 slime mold, with skills like decomposition and dominion maxed out. A kilometer away, he controlled a frog through his parasitic ability. He had invented a way to remotely control his puppets by placing split bodies as signal relays at intervals. The split bodies slowly lost health, but by attaching to trees they could decompose them for energy, lasting a long time. With enough bases, he could instantly control all his puppets across the territory. Suddenly, a foot crushed the frog he was controlling, killing it. The slime mold noted that the cow had apparently emptied its bowels before arriving, so there were no obstacles along the way. He realized he was inside a stomach. Was this a cow? He used his tendril to poke into the cow's interior. The cow was in so much pain it foamed blood from its mouth. He planned to crawl out through the wound, burrowing into the cow's bloodstream. He slithered through the cow's body, searching for something. He found it, the heart. He struck the cow's belly with his tendril, unleashing a plasmatic cannon. The cow finally fell. The system announced a high-level monster kill, granting massive experience points. Decomposition was ongoing, experience points flowing in. Based on mycelial feedback, the slime mold deduced the cow came from an unexplored area. The system kept updating the experience gain. He wondered about the broken horn. Was it from mating competition? Or did a more terrifying monster break it while hunting? Either way, the swamp forest monsters were far more evolved than he imagined. Could there be a massive mana source nearby? He decided not to dwell on it and focused on the present. The cow's hide was tough, so he had to decompose from the inside. Decomposition successful, he obtained the swamp cow's hide, a high-grade forging material, and its meat, a premium ingredient. He chuckled, even just decomposition gave plenty of experience. If he cooked the meat he could gain even more. The system confirmed decomposition complete. He thanked the cow for the meal. The scene shifted to a teleportation gate. Someone seemed about to step out. Jim Cook, a rank adventurer of the Silver Leaf Pavilion, exclaimed that the teleport gate had reopened after 2 years. Another adventurer grumbled about the bugs, saying they only came because Jim begged them. The grumbling adventurer repeated his complaint about the bugs and Jim's begging. A few female adventurers used lightsoar wings and intermediate flight magic and said they'd go ahead. Some people below complained that the Blue Hat Guild mages were cheating. Others noted flight magic was their exclusive perk. Lena Short, a B-rank adventurer of the Grey Feather Guild, snapped at them to focus on crossing Death Salt Lake, warning that falling in would instantly desiccate you. Jim assured her he had invited another helper. Lena challenged the helper to show what they could do. Sea Green introduced herself as a new member of the Silver Leaf Pavilion, asking for Lena's guidance. Ezzy used Flash Freeze to create an ice path across the river. The onlookers praised her, saying her magic was on par with the Blue Hat Guild. 2 other adventurers thanked her and boasted they would collect enough life energy first to claim the bounty. S worried they were being left behind, but Jim dismissed it, saying those rookies didn't know the danger of the swamp forest. A shadow emerged from the lake unnoticed by the 2 adventurers. Suddenly a snake burst from the water and killed the knave adventurers. Len exclaimed in shock and C trembled in fear. Someone commented that the snake had evolved to 3 heads by absorbing mana from the gate. A massive 3-headed swamp serpent appeared. Jim warned it was a high-level, possibly Lord-class monster and commanded everyone to follow his orders. The 3-headed serpent loomed over the adventurers. The scene shifted to the slime mold grilling some baby swamp snakes. The cook snake was described as crispy outside and tender inside with restorative effects. The slime mold burned his mouth, losing 48 p. He thought it was time to repair his armor for better defense against high-level monsters, noting that he couldn't always rely on gutting them. He stopped eating and got to work. The system warned that while forging, his consciousness would enter the slime mold space, leaving his body vulnerable. He dismissed the risk, having mycelial arms and heretical puppets as guards. He entered the space, closing his eyes. He was now inside the slime mold space. Using the decomposition trait he got from Goran, the slime mold could now forge directly inside the slime mold space. He pulled the armor out of the system. He placed the armor into the forging system and hit confirm. The system warned that if forging failed, all materials would be lost, offering a chance to cancel. Since the armor's durability was already 0, he figured there was nothing to lose and decided to go for it. He accidentally triggered the forge and with a loud crack, the process began. A metallic arm emerged from the slime mold, signaling that the forging had succeeded. The system announced that he had successfully forged the vibration armor, which could absorb most physical damage and reduce 35% of damage from intermediate and lower magic. He was thrilled. He jumped into the armor and used his domination skill to fill it completely with his slime. He used his split bodies to control each limb, creating a coordinated slime mold squad for the armor. The armor had shrunk a whole size, probably because of material lost during forging, but he figured it didn't matter since he was not human inside. Controlling the armor with 5 split bodies actually felt smoother than before. He tested the armor by launching a cytoplasmic fist at a tree. The accuracy and power were impressive. His new armor was a significant upgrade. His living space was bigger, his equipment was stronger, and he was feeling great. He realized that getting too excited could cause him to lose control of his split bodies. He noted that his parasitic domination skill was at level V8, allowing control of 8 puppets. But since the armor used 5 consciousnesses, he could only have 2 additional parasitic puppets in combat, opening up new tactical possibilities. He thought he would need time to study and test combat tactics, but once he mastered a few efficient combinations, he would be ready for any situation. He decided to stop thinking and just start training. But compared to the armor, his parasitic puppets seemed far weaker. The scene shifted to a group of adventurers who had just critically wounded a 3-headed serpent. Lena breathed a sigh of relief, but Jim warned that it was not over yet and moved in for the kill. Suddenly Bacchus, an A-rank adventurer from the Saint Song Guild, emerged from the serpent's mouth, declaring the beast truly dead. Bacchus's arm, which had been damaged, regenerated on its own. Jim was shocked, saying he thought Bacchus had been eaten. Bacchus sarcastically asked if they thought he was dead. He then scolded Jim, saying that people from small guilds were too arrogant, taking charge without knowing how to handle the serpent, and risking everyone's lives. Jim apologized. Bacchus handed out potions to help them recover. He advised them that the first rule against strong monsters was to run, and he hoped they would all make it back to the capital safely. Jim remarked that Bacchus seemed tough but was actually kind, and Lena agreed that survival was most important. Sea Green drank the potion and felt her mana fully restored. She tested her magic with a flash freeze spell. Bacchus grumbled that the guild leader had sent him on such a simple task unnecessarily. Bacchus then collected the serpent's soul using his soul collection skill. He created a magic circle around the serpent, causing it to vanish completely. Bacchus muttered that the materials for the life candle could be obtained through human sacrifice, questioning why they had to go through all this trouble. Hot on the heels of getting his new armor, the slime mold was putting it through its paces, launching slime like Spider-Man and feeling the martial arts talent automatically adapt to his moves. He could not help but think how convenient a human body was. Just a casual flick packed the punch of a full-on cytoblast cannon. If this talent was this strong, the original owner Gorn must have been an absolute beast. Now that he'd gotten the hang of the armor, the slime mold faced a choice: explore uncharted areas or take the portal to the royal capital. But was he strong enough? If discovered, he'd be dissected for sure, and when the world got sacrificed, he would not escape either. Suddenly he felt vibrations, footsteps. Something was invading his turf. A group of adventurers emerged. Lena was giving Jim grief, saying this area was supposed to be safe according to the old captain, but now the ground was covered in yellow slime that was not there before. Lena pointed out the yellow goo on trees too, wondering if it was some monster's secretion. Jim admitted the forest had been sealed for 2 years, so maybe the ecosystem had changed. Jim, trying to stay positive, bragged about his new boots, made from premium mine boar leather, custom fit, but before he could enjoy them, leeches with razor-sharp teeth erupted from the water, screeching. Lena reacted fast, using her swift kill skill to slice them clean in half. "Scram," she yelled. Then a swarm of blade-footed centipedes came skittering in. One of them latched onto a team member's neck, coiling tight. In the blink of an eye, that guy was dead. Someone screamed, "Someone's dead." More centipedes swarmed, The team warned each other. These blade-footed centipedes were the worst. Never let them climb on you. Their shells were too tough for normal attacks. They thrashed wildly. Lena noticed she encasing herself in ice to protect herself. Hey rookie, what is with just freezing yourself? Get over here and help. This is disgusting, she snapped. Jim shouted for everyone to calm down. Drawing his sword, he slammed a flaming sword into the ground, unleashing a magic sword technique. Holy flame, pure ground. The fire spread, catching the centipedes. Within moments, the centipedes were reduced to ash. Talk about a satisfying clean sweep. The slime mold, watching through a clone, was shocked. Humans? Did they come through the portal? Jim then used a soul collection skill on the dead centipedes, gathering their spirits. He turned to the team, giving a stern lecture. This was not a training ground. One mistake and you are dead. These low-level souls were worthless. They needed to hunt stronger monsters. Stay sharp. Suddenly, a frog controlled by the slime mold leaped at Jim's face, smacking him. What the? The frog hopped back and struck a taunting pose. Jim lost it. You stinking swamp frog. I will kill you. He started hacking at the frog with flame slash, while Lena yelled at him to keep his cool. But the slime mold was directly controlling the frog, using a tongue fist attack that accurately nailed Jim right in the face. Jim cursed, vowing to kill the frog no matter what. Lena scolded him again. Jim, you idiot. Do not lose your head. The younger members, she and others, murmured among themselves, wondering if this team was really reliable. Someone reassured them that Jim was a famous magic sword user, but others said to stay cautious. While they were distracted, a spider on a tree shot web bullets at them. Creep out. The bullets exploded into sticky silk. The sticky web splattered over the team. What the heck is this? It is so sticky. I cannot move. Do not fall. She grabbed her staff and tried to use ice magic to free everyone, saying it was jungle spider silk. Just as she started casting, a tongue snatched her staff away. No! My staff! As if losing her staff was not bad enough, she soon found herself completely trapped in sticky spider silk. Talk about a rough day. Meanwhile, Jim was absolutely livid, chasing the frog with murderous intent. Die, he roared, while the frog just croaked and hopped away. But suddenly, a club came flying out of nowhere, straight at Jim's head. Jim reacted fast, blocking the attack with his sword. A clean parry. He then realized the yellow slime was a monster that could even use weapons. Prepare for battle. These are amorphous slime types. Lena, enchant the weapons. Before anyone could act, the slime mold himself appeared in full iron armor, slamming a punch into the yellow slime. Watch out, he warned. He quickly explained that these yellow monsters absorb magic, so only physical attacks would work. Are you all okay? He asked. Lena and Jim were completely surrounded by furious yellow slimes, their angry forms pulsing with energy. Jim braced himself, saying he could still use his sacred flames twice. Just then, the slime mold in iron armor shouted, "Back off," at the top of his lungs. The yellow slimes actually obeyed, scattering away as the slime mold commanded them to retreat. Lena was stunned. They really retreated? She asked in disbelief. The slime mold then asked if they could understand him. Jim was confused, but the slime mold realized with excitement that he could actually communicate with people from this world. He pulled up a knowledge encyclopedia synced from the Goen system, which included the local language, cooking, monster guides, and more. Thanks to his malleable body, he could simulate vocal cords and speak. By tweaking the shape of those simulated cords, he could produce different voices. He boasted he could sound like a mature lady, a boss, a young boy, or a little girl. Talk about a versatile voice actor. Lena quickly asked which guild he belonged to, since the Swamp Forest portal had just opened, and they were the first explorers. The slime mold lied, saying he was from the Baishi Guild on a secret mission to clean yellow slime. Internally, he panicked because he only knew Goen's guild and some hat guild. Without warning, Lena teleported behind him and used Swift Kill, shouting that the Baishi Guild had betrayed the capital and were now heretics. But the slime mold dodged the attack just in time, showing impressive reflexes. He retaliated by swinging his mace at Lena. "Hey, that is enough," he yelled. Lena was shocked at his flexibility. Her swift kill had not landed a single hit despite his heavy armor. Jim accused the slime mold of following Goen, a demon-packed traitor, and called him a disgrace to humanity. The slime mold protested, reminding them he had just helped drive away the yellow slimes. "And you thank me by trying to kill me. How is that fair?" Jim slashed down with his master-forged sword, but the slime mold caught it one-handed, leaving Jim in disbelief. The slime mold then used plasmatic cannon to punch Jim into a wall, marveling at how martial talent let him use that skill in armor. Lena dropped from above, locking his head and stabbing at his eyes with shadow kill. "How dare you hurt Jim? Die. Jim shouted for her to keep him alive so they could interrogate him for info on other heretics. Lena hesitated, saying she got too angry seeing Jim hurt and accidentally killed him. Jim blushed, asking since when she cared so much. He pressed her, believing her master forced her to reject him and leave the Silverleaf Pavilion Guild. Lena admitted her master said to abandon all emotions to become a great assassin, but then asked if Jim would run away with her to live a normal life. Lena shyly agreed, saying she would be willing to stay with him forever. The slime mold, still alive, groaned at being ignored. He realized the church had brainwashed everyone into thinking Goen's guild was demonic. He suddenly grabbed Lena by the collar and threw her aside, sending her crashing with a loud bang. Lena was shocked he was still alive despite having his head pierced. The slime mold declared he'd tie them up since they could not talk nicely. Jim checked on Lena, who guessed the slime mold had demonic power. The slime mold insisted the church had deceived them and noted he was strong enough to handle ordinary adventurers. But Jim was not backing down. He declared he'd destroy him for real this time, charging up his blade. His sword blazed with sacred flames, ready to burn away all evil. The slime mold sighed and pulled 2 daggers from the eye sockets of his helmet. I did not want to kill you, but do not force me to be a villain, he said. A system prompt flashed. Combat Talent Raider, activated. Meanwhile, elsewhere in the swamp, a pile of charred mudskipper corpses lay smoking. Someone was collecting their souls. Sister Fife, I sense abnormal magic to the left, said a companion. Fife smirked. After killing so many, their leader finally showed up. Suddenly, something burst out of the mud, charging straight at them. What the? Someone yelled. It was a massive mudskipper. But Anita, a C-rank adventurer and Merlin's last disciple, was ready. Let me handle this. Wind. Magic. She conjured a powerful gust. Anita started gathering her strength for a counterattack. But within minutes, the mudskipper struck her down in one brutal blow, sending her straight to the logout screen. As she collapsed, one of her comrades gritted out, I have to kill it, while another weakly protested, you cannot do that. Fife snapped them out of it with a sharp command to counterattack, and without hesitation, she unleashed her intermediate lightning magic, Crimson Lightning. A barrage of red lightning bolts rained down on the mudskipper, but the creature zigzagged through them in a hilariously clumsy dodging spree. Talk about a mess. Just then, 2-liter mudskippers emerged from the mud. Fife cursed under her breath, realizing they could sense magic and move at insane speed on the swamp. Lua was baffled. Mudskipper tribes never had 2 kings at once. Fife shrugged it off, telling Lua to hold off one while she charged up a high-level spell. She began casting Scarlet Bolt, ready to blast the leader to pieces. The mudskipper countered by raising an earth wall to block the spell, roaring in defiance. But Fife smirked, explaining that even if the bolt was blocked, the arc from Scarlet Bolt would paralyze it. And true enough, the smaller mudskippers were lifted mid-air. However, the mudskipper from behind triggered an explosion that sent Lua and Fife tumbling. Fife snapped. Seriously? You cannot even hold off one leader. Suddenly, a mudskipper burst up from beneath Fife's feet and grabbed her leg. What? A third one? She screamed before being dragged down into the mud. And just like that, Fife was pulled under and eliminated. Lua cried out for her. Now alone, Lua found herself surrounded by mudskippers as they activated their triple Meyer vortex. She quickly threw up a magic shield to protect herself, but the pressure was mounting. Lua realized this was no ordinary fight. Low-level monsters were coordinating like a trained team. She knew she could not last long even inside the shield. Her only option was to retreat and report back to President Louisa. So she activated her Lightwing skill and took to the air. But out of nowhere, a mudskipper leaped into the sky and bit her mid-flight, and she too was taken out. Brutal. The scene shifted to the mudskipper's cave, where Fife lay unconscious among scattered bones. She slowly came to, groggily wondering where she was. Then she saw it, a massive mudskipper feasting on what remained of her comrades. Her blood ran cold. The creature, the king mudskipper, turned to her and said, Hey human, you killed a lot of my children earlier, did not you? The title overhead read Mudskipper King 1v69. Fife stammered in horror, recognizing this as a sentient super dangerous species that should only exist in magical records. The king complained of being hungry and ordered his minions to hunt more prey. Fife tried to make a break for it, but the king stopped her, asking if she had seen a yellow monster. Apparently, he was still furious about a slime mold that had stolen the fin off his head, leaving him hilariously bald. The king demanded an answer, but all she could do was cry for help. So the king simply slapped her, and that was the end of Fife for real this time. The king grumbled in frustration, remembering how a heavy rain had saved him earlier, and he could not get over his anger. As he ranted, his eyes began to glow with an eerie light. That light pierced through the earth, catching the attention of a certain A-rank adventurer Bacchus, who noted the powerful evolutionary aura and decided to investigate. But before heading over, he had to deal with two annoying creatures bothering him. Bacchus leaped up, effortlessly dodging the combined attack from the two birds. Smooth moves. One of the red birds immediately retaliated, whipping its snake-like tail to bite his foot, but he casually kicked the serpent head away, not breaking a sweat. However, he noticed his foot was beginning to petrify, thanks to that nasty venom. The two birds charged up their mouths with energy, preparing a pseudo-dragon breath and a stone spray. They unleashed the blast straight at him, a double-barreled magical onslaught. Bacchus wondered why the swamp forest monsters had gotten so much tougher lately. He decided to take the hit head-on, bracing himself with his arms. After the smoke cleared, he assessed the situation. The original swamp master, the nine-headed dragon king Kotoyara, had fallen, and its soul power had evenly distributed among all the monsters. The avian attack failed to penetrate his defense, as he stood firm behind the shield formed by his forearms. Realizing he needed to step it up, Bacchus muttered that it was time to get a little serious.